Chapter 1931, Shen Shang, Solution. 1931 Shen Shang, Solution. This is Central Continent's Emperor City. Yi Fan followed the main group as they walked into Emperor City. He looked around and assessed the place. He was a southern border Gu master, but he had heard of Emperor City's famous name long ago. This was the largest mortal city in Central Continent, or rather, the entire 5 regions world. Here, rank 3 Gu masters were very commonly seen, but in southern border, rank 3 Gu masters were normally authoritative elders in their clans. This was the first time Yi Fan visited Emperor City. Emperor City lived up to its name, it was well guarded and had a grand structure. Yi Fan was not disappointed. However, compared to an immortal Gu house, Emperor City is far inferior. Thinking of this, Yi Fan looked at the sky. In the sky, there were several immortal Gu houses floating silently. There was a pavilion, exquisite and small, there were countless bird cages hanging on it, birds chirped continuously. This was Heavenly Lotus Sect's Canary Pavilion. There was a garden that was exquisitely built, it was grand with white jade tiles and oozing with cold air, there were faint dragon roars heard occasionally. This was Ancient Soul Sect's immortal Gu house, Frost Dragon Manor. There was also a 7-story tower, curtains were fluttering in the building, it was Wind Cloud Manor's rank 7 immortal Gu house, Wind Sweeping Building. There was also Combat Immortal Sect's Edge Link Camp which had grand flags fluttering with the wind. Other than those, Illusion Garden, Yuyang Palace, and Sun and Moon Temple were there. Yi Fan's master was Lu Wei-yin. He learned a lot of information regarding Gu immortals from him. He could discern most of the famous immortal Gu houses. These immortal Gu houses were not as large as Emperor City, but they were much more dazzling. They were the center of attention that all of the city people were talking about. At this time, a youngster beside him sighed. It seems that the rumors are correct. The world is going to change, immortals are going to battle. A chaotic great era is coming, the difference between mortal and immortal will shrink. This is our plan too, isn't that right, Brother Yi? Yi Fan looked at the youngster as he nodded. You are correct, Brother Hong. Similar to the previous life, Yi Fan and Hong Yi met in the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention and became sworn brothers after they interacted. Hong Yi smiled. This Refinement Path Convention is unprecedented. Let those Gu immortals fight in the sky, it is not something we can interfere in. That makes sense, let us have a true competition this time. Yi Fan patted Hong Yi's shoulders. The 2 brothers were filled with fighting spirit. Hong Yi said, I have a feeling that the eventual winner of this Refinement Path Convention will be one of us. Shen Shang's ears twitched, he heard the entire conversation between Hong Yi and Yi Fan without missing a word. These 2 were mortals, but Shen Shang kept a trace of his concentration on them at all times. In the future 5 regions chaotic war, these 2 youngsters likely have an opportunity to become immortal. Shen Shang was a human path quasi-supreme, he had a strong premonition when it came to humans. Over at Heavenly Court, People's United Hearts and other human path killer moves were all used already, Unfettered Scholar and Jingqing had been expelled. But Shen Shang still managed to disguise himself and enter the final competition ground, he was not suspected at all. He was after all a rank 8 Gu immortal and also a human path quasi-supreme grandmaster. Shen Shang observed his surroundings, he became gradually excited. My estimations earlier were not wrong, this Emperor City is one of the main human veins of Central Continent. Mountains had mountain veins, the earth had earth veins, and humans had human veins. Emperor City was created by primordial origin immortal Venerable. After so many years of relocation and movement, it still remained as the largest gathering spot of humans, it stayed on the trail of Central Continent's human vein all along. This place produces human talents, it is because of Central Continent's main human vein. Heavenly Court's generations of immortal venerables have left their human path methods here, I can vaguely sense their existence. Fang Yuan used his rebirth as the reason to urge Shen Shang to take action and try to unravel the various venerable human path methods. This was a challenging mission, it spurred on Shen Shang's morale and ambition. Fang Yuan and the rest could not sense any of the traces of these human path killer moves. But for Shen Shang, he could trace and locate them. Thus, he disguised himself and entered Emperor City. He finally found a chance to destroy the Venerable killer moves. Heavenly Court is collecting human will and storing it inside Heavenly Court for use. That place is too tightly defended. If we cannot enter Heavenly Court, we will not be able to destroy the human will. If we cannot destroy the human will, we cannot drain them of this resource. However, taking action here will also have superb effects. Heavenly Court is collecting human will. Emperor City plays a crucial role in this process. It is the largest shipment area they have to transport the human will. If I destroy this place, Heavenly Court's efficiency in gathering human will would fall greatly. But Shen Shang did not plan to cause destruction. He had a greater objective. He wanted to follow the traces with Emperor City as the anchor to find the Venerable human path killer moves and reverse deduce the profundities of their human path methods, to try to steal their knowledge. Shen Shang was confident and daring. He was not satisfied with just the reputation of unraveling a Venerable killer move. He wanted to master the Venerable human path methods and gain much more strength in the process. If my human path methods improve, it might be possible to get rid of the problem of the black fire. I will not go berserk anymore. Hairy Foot Mountain Battlefield. 5-colored smoke miasma rumbled. Southern Borders Gu Immortals and Heavenly Court's main forces had already fought for a long time. Bay Pavilion, Flying Sand Pavilion, and Unfixed Manor were heavily damaged. They went to the second defensive line to get repaired. At the front lines, there were 4 rank 8s from Southern Border, as well as 2 rank 8 Immortal Gu houses, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building and Great Space Temple. Heavenly Court's main forces had no deaths, their morale was high. Zhao Shan he prepared his killer move again, his aura was surging. Zhan Budu quickly shouted, "Stop him. He is going to use that move again." Wu Yong and Yi Haofang gritted their teeth. They wanted to charge in but Yi Xiaozi and Vortex Spaceboy stopped them. Zhou Xiong Xian and Flesh Whip Immortal joined hands to obstruct Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. Meanwhile, Zhu Ke Air and Wan Zihong went from the right and left, bypassing the battlefield to attack the 5 regional limit formation directly. Wu Yong and the rest were left with no choice, they had to return to being defensive. They had too few people, it was hard enough to defend, they were not as agile and flexible as Heavenly Court's group. Zhao Shan he successfully used his killer move. He opened his mouth, he sucked in all of the surrounding 5-colored smoke. A large amount of smoke was sucked into his stomach, which expanded at an observable rate. At the same time, his face and muscles turned multicolored. Zhao Shan he actually swallowed the 5-colored smoke, creating a temporary cleared-out area. Without the restraints of the 5-colored smoke, Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals were able to use their full power. They unleashed all sorts of killer moves with terrifying power. Wu Yong and the rest resisted, but their defensive line was not tight. Killer moves were directed to get through the cracks. After a rough filter by their defenses, the rest landed on the 5 regional limit formation. The 5 regional limit formation shook intensely. A large number of Gu worms died. A weakened formation spirit quickly tried to repair it. Zhan Budu's expression was ugly. Relying on Zhao Shanhe's food path method, Heavenly Court managed to make a breakthrough. Each time they used this method, the 5 regional limit formation suffered immense damage. Even though they were repairing it at full speed, it could not keep up with the waves of attacks that kept on coming. As damage accumulated, the 5 regional limit formation started to get into a dangerous spot. What to do? Emperor City. The final round of the competition was racing against the clock to start. Shen Shang was secretly happy. He started to refine Gu, using this as a cover. He secretly prepared his killer move. We finally arrived. Fang Dichang drove Divine Beam Palace as he charged at the front. Behind him was Western Desert's main troops. To battle. Force them back. Defend Emperor City to the death. Central Continent's troops cheered and shouted. They faced off against Western Desert's immortal Gu houses as battle erupted. Wonderful. Shen Shang, who was paying attention to the outside world, cheered. With Central Continent's forces being restrained, he had no worries left. Right at this moment. Bam! He erupted with a strong Gu immortal aura. He shouted as profound white light pierced through the hall, radiating in the entire Emperor City. The Venerables have passed away, all of your human path methods should go as well. Shen Shang's eyes shined with piercing and blinding light. Puff! At the next moment, he spat out a mouthful of blood, his body cracked as his lungs burst, his intestines blew into tiny pieces that shot out of the wounds all over his body. Failure! How can this be? Shen Shang could not believe this. He stared with wide eyes. I had already. Not only did he fail to resolve the Venerable methods, he even triggered them in advance. This was human path killer move, hope of the people. White light flew around in the sky like a snowstorm. It gathered on the bodies of the central continent Gu immortals, creating a pure white halo. Human path killer move, heroes among people. The white light surrounding the central continent Gu immortals started to shrink, while the Gu immortals' auras started to grow. Howl! Central continent's army roared, their morale soared as they charged towards Western Desert's troops. Oh no! Fang Dichang's expression changed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1932, Heavenly Court, S. Grand Mai. 1932 Heavenly Court, S. Grand Mai. The white light that spread across the sky was like drifting snow, filling the heaven and earth of Central Continent. The first to benefit was Emperor City's battlefield. So strong, such strong power. Central Continent's Gu immortals had an incredible feeling, their bodies were surging with new strength. This strength was so grand and vast, it felt like an endless tide, sweeping through their bodies and minds constantly. All their fatigue was gone. Their minds were clear, their fighting spirit also rose sharply. Be it rank 6, 7, or even rank 8, they felt the same. This is the foundation of my Central Continent's heavenly court. My strength has at least doubled, and with such an increase, what enemies will I be afraid of? Charge, kill them, we will defeat all the invaders. Let them know the might of heavenly court, the might of Central Continent. The morale on Central Continent's side soared like a rainbow, setting off a ferocious frenzy of attacks. Western Desert's side was retreating steadily. Retreat. Quickly retreat. Such an amplification is truly terrifying. What kind of killer move is this? Let's avoid battle for now, such a powerful killer move cannot last long. The Gu immortals on Western Desert's side communicated in panic. It's useless. This is the method of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. The two human path killer moves are heroes among people and hope of the people respectively. They have no problem sustaining it throughout the entire battle. Fang Dichang said. The Western Desert side kept retreating, but Divine Being Palace under Fang Dichang's control always remained in place, as if it was their support pillar, with no intention of retreating. Fang Dichang had a cold look on his face. He did not expect that Shen Shang's unraveling would actually cause the killer moves to activate in advance. In the previous life, these two human path methods were a rather important trump card that changed the battle situation. In this life, Fang Yuan had painstakingly plotted to ally with Shen Shang in order to resolve these two methods. But despite all of his efforts, the results were still unsatisfactory. As far as the current results were concerned, Shen Shang not only failed to restrain and get rid of the two killer moves, he even made the situation more troublesome. Heroes among people targeted Gu immortals themselves, causing their comprehensive battle strength to be amplified to at least double of the original. The killer move had terrifying might. After gaining the amplification, the Gu immortals' killer moves, including immortal Gu houses and immortal formations, would be powered up as well. In a certain aspect, it was even more useful than Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's perfect pair killer move. The waves of attacks were like stormy waves, bombarding Divine Being Palace incessantly. Divine Being Palace was created by Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable, but it could not resist such impacts. The surface was cracked and damaged, a large number of Gu worms died quickly and miserably, facing destruction. But the power of Divine Being Palace was in recovery. It followed the cultivation style of Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. Although a lot of the Gu worms perished, they would be replenished quickly. Injured Gu worms that did not die would even recover quickly. Divine Bean Palace was like a golden reef, steadily supporting itself on the front lines, silently enduring the endless bombardment of Central Continent's forces. As expected of Divine Bean Palace, Fang Clan's Fang Dichang is really a worthy leader. Let's fight. Since we've come this far, are we going to constantly run away? The morale of the Western Desert Army was finally stabilized, their Gu immortals no longer retreated and faced the immortal Gu houses of Central Continent. At once, battle started between immortal Gu houses. Canary Pavilion opened several bird cages, groups of birds flew freely. When they flew out of the bird cages, they swiftly grew and formed a flock of birds, like an overwhelming patch of moving dark clouds. Western Desert's chicken dog coop was not falling behind, releasing a flock of desolate beast chickens and dogs to fight against it. After a few moments of contact between the two sides, it became clear that the chicken and dog desolate beasts could not resist, many were killed. I'll help you. Dong Clan's Gu immortals steered Red River Wheel to go and support them. Red River Wheel was like a water wheel, it rolled forward as a huge red light shot out of the wheel, it seemed to resemble a ribbon that tangled the bird group. The molten flame birds were immediately suppressed, they were captured by the red light and were all subdued within Red River Wheel. Thanks for the molten flame birds. Dong Clan's Gu immortals laughed loudly, the power of Red River Wheel rose by 20% because of this. Although Western Desert's side gained a small profit, Chicken Dog Coop still had to cooperate with Red River Wheel to resist Canary Pavilion. This was common sense. In the battlefield, Western Desert's immortal Gu houses often had to team up against one enemy. The immortal Gu houses on Central Continent's side all had great power. Yuyang Palace shot out grand profound light, piercing the skies, Frost Dragon Manor emitted dragon soul and frost energy, wind sweeping building rampaged with tornadoes, sweeping the battlefield. From the first contact, Western Desert's group was pressured and could barely resist. This cannot go on. Fang Dichang observed the battlefield, he was a little worried. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Fang Dichang knew about Central Continent's strength, but he was even clearer regarding the strength of his forces. Western Desert's Gu immortals would not fight to the death, this group that he brought was already the result of Fang Dichang's maximum effort. With such intense battles, once any deaths occurred on Western Desert's side, they would want to retreat. Once someone retreats, others would follow. In other words, this was not a real army, it was a gathering of dispersed forces, their morale could not be sustained. Fang Dichang led these people at such a crucial time, he had to be at the front lines, to ensure that they would remain in formation. I wanted to save this for the end, there is no choice. Fang Dichang sighed, he sent out the Divine Bean soldiers that he had saved within Divine Bean Palace. The quantity of yellow bean soldiers was the highest, they were the basic troops that were treated as cannon fodder. Next were green bean soldiers that could shoot flying arrows, red bean soldiers could self-detonate, while black bean soldiers had the greatest defense. As for blue and white bean soldiers, they had the lowest quantity, the former could reflect killer moves to an extent while the latter could heal bean soldiers. Once the bean army was sent out, they stabilized the situation, causing a deadlock to occur. But the price to pay was that these soldiers were rapidly being expended. Once the casualties hit a certain level, Western Desert's side would be pressured once again. By then, Fang Dichang would be out of trump cards, he would need to wait for reinforcements. Hairy Foot Mountain Battlefield. Immortal Killer Move, Rumors Become Tigers. Zhou Xiong used his information path killer move as tigers formed into groups, roaring and attacking Wu Yong. Wu Yong waved his hands repeatedly, and used countless wind blades to stop the tigers from pouncing at him. To the side, Zhu Ke and Yi Xiaozi joined forces to attack him. Wu Yong sighed and wisely retreated. If now was earlier, he might have been able to fight them head-on, but now after the amplification from human path killer moves, Wu Yong could only retreat. Speaking of which, he had repeatedly tried to use the killer move Unlimited Wind, but he was always obstructed by Heavenly Court, unable to gain the precious time he needed to unleash this killer move. Fortunately, Our side has immortal Gu houses which can act as fortresses for us to rest and recover. Oh no! Wu Yong had just returned to rest in clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building when his expression suddenly changed dramatically. His departure had made Chuyu's position slightly more eye-catching. Gu immortals of other regions might not be able to make use of this, but Heavenly Court Gu immortals were all experienced experts. Chuyu, quickly retreat. Wu Yong transmitted. Even without his warning, Chuyu already sensed something amiss. He quickly retreated. Where are you going? Wan Zihong restrained Chuyu. Wu Yong had to stop resting as he flew out. Zhou Xiong Xin suddenly appeared above Chuyu, his 5 fingers spread out as he grasped. Immortal Battlefield Killer Move, Rumor Cage. This was the fastest battlefield killer move in the world. The speed of setting it up was #1 in the 5 regions. Chuyu could not dodge in time, he was trapped in the battlefield. Zhou Xiong Xin, Zhang Fei Xiong, and Zhu Ke entered the battlefield, the other Gu immortals stayed outside, blocking the reinforcement of Wu Yong, Yi Hao Fang, and Bada. Chuyu is in danger. Quick, we need to destroy this battlefield. Wu Yong and the rest were anxious. However, the rumor cage battlefield had already shrunk to a dot. It vanished. To find it, a lot of effort would be needed, and there were Heavenly Court Gu immortals around obstructing them. Immortal killer move, sitting and eating the mountain empty. While the southern border immortals were trying to save him, Zhao Shanhe and Yu Zhuzi worked together again, using their killer move to heavily damage the southern border immortal Gu houses. The southern border Gu immortals suffered a great loss while their attention was diverted away. And within Rumor Cage, Chuyu was in danger, at the brink of life and death. This was an information path battlefield. Zhou Xiong Xin was the main attacker, while Zhang Fei Xiong and Zhu Ke had transformation path attainment. They turned into information path immemorial desolate beasts to help with the battle. Suddenly, Wu Shuang also entered the battlefield. Human path killer move, Peerless. This killer move was once used on Duke Long. It was very helpful. This time, it was used on Zhou Xiong Xin, who was already amplified by a human path killer move. With this additional boost, his killer moves became even stronger. Chuyu stared with furious eyes, but he could not resist them. He was devoured by the information path tigers. Rumor Cage battlefield dissipated. Zhou Xiong Xin and the rest returned to the outside battlefield. Wu Yong and the rest could only see the torn and dismembered remains of Chuyu. A formation path great grandmaster and first supreme elder of Qi clan had died. Southern borders Gu immortals were shaken. Such a terrifying sacrifice had happened before their eyes. First supreme elder Chuyu. He died in battle. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals killed him. The morale of southern border was rapidly declining. Oh no! Wu Yong had an ugly expression. Chuyu's reputation was very high. His death was worse than if they lost Yi Hao Fang or Bada. It was a huge blow to the southern border Gu immortals' morale. However, Wu Yong could not do anything. Even though he had the killer move Unlimited Wind, Heavenly Court did not let him use it. His special move Farewell Friend Wind could also not be used. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals had all been sleeping in the immortal graveyard. He had no opportunity to become friends with them. Our situation was tough to begin with. Now that Chuyu is dead, it is even worse now. What do I do? Wu Yong had already tried his best, but the situation still left his control gradually. Persevere. The light of determination flashed in his eyes. Heavenly Court must not be allowed to repair Fate Gu. This is the consensus of all 4 regions. Western Desert has attacked Emperor City now. Eastern Sea and Northern Plains Gu immortals will definitely also take action. And Fang Yuan. I'll wait for reinforcements. That's the only way now. The Emperor City battlefield and Hairy Foot Mountain battlefield were completely suppressed and in a dangerous position, so was the battlefield in Heavenly Court. Even though Duke Long was unaffected by the human path killer move's amplification, he was still overwhelming. his strength alone suppressed all of Longevity Heaven's members. And worse was that he had reinforcements. Qin Ding Ling. Within Calamity Luck Altar, Qi Ci Lang looked at Qin Ding Ling while gritting his teeth. Qin Ding Ling had recovered with the help of the human path killer moves. She joined the battlefield to assist Duke Long. She had incredibly strong luck path attainment, she could target Calamity Luck Altar well. Qi Ci Lang and the rest were getting into a tight spot. With a loud crash, Duke Long's fist defeated another Northern Plains expert. He looked at the phantom river of time as he laughed loudly. So what if you summon more people? Longevity Heaven. This time, none of you shall escape, you will all die. No matter how many reinforcements you have, it will not change the situation. Qin Ding Ling raised her head high as she snickered. Exactly, how can the Grand Heavenly Court be defiled by the likes of you? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1933, Arrival of Reinforcements. 1933 Arrival of Reinforcements. Get him. Don't let him get away. There was already chaos in the venue of the final competition of the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention. Several Rank 8 Gu immortals charged down. Shen Shang's face was pale, he suffered a serious injury instead of unraveling the Venerable methods. However, looking at the Central Continent Rank 8s that pounced down, he still sneered, just the few of you want to catch me? Next, his body flickered as he vanished. Central Continent's Rank 8 Gu immortals lost sight of their target. They used all sorts of investigative killer moves but could not find any traces. Where did he go? Who is he? He is actually able to move freely in Emperor City. This place is under the effect of people's united hearts, he could actually sneak in. The 5 regions are huge, hidden experts are everywhere. The Rank 8 Gu immortals exchanged words and after discussing, they each dispersed to continue their search. Even if they searched Emperor City completely, even if they demolished it, they still wanted to find Shen Shang. Shen Shang was currently hiding in a corner of Emperor City, far away from the venue of the final competition. He was panting, but the fighting spirit in his eyes was not extinguished. Instead, like adding fuel to a fire, it was growing stronger and stronger. Worthy of Venerables, their methods exceeded my expectations. He exclaimed in his head and immediately sent another message to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan, hold on. Give me some more time and I will definitely be able to unravel this move. Shen Shang spoke with certainty. Fang Yuan sneered, how can I believe you? Shen Shang then explained, I've already found out that the various human path killer moves of Heavenly Court's Venerables are based on a massive amount of human will. Without this foundation, no matter how powerful the human path killer moves are, they are useless without enough fuel. Fang Yuan retorted, but the human will is stored in Heavenly Court, it is too far from our reach. Shen Shang smiled lightly, precisely so, I deduced another method, instead of eliminating the human will, we should help to develop it instead. Fang Yuan gained some interest, tell me. Shen Shang then said, Heavenly Court collected the human will of Central Continent, so their people's united hearts killer move can distinguish between friend and enemy. But if I add the human will of the other 4 regions, how can they possibly still have united hearts? The Heavenly Court and Central Continent Gu immortals are also amplified by the killer move heroes among people because of Central Continent's human will. If it contains the human will of the 5 regions, then heroes among people's effect would also work on the rest of us. Fang Yuan asked again, then how do you do this? How will we channel the human will of the other 4 regions into it? Shen Shang replied calmly, on one hand, I have already made arrangements in Emperor City. On the other hand, the 5 regional walls are close to disappearing, not only will the 5 regions be unified by the earth veins, but the human veins will also be linked. In a way, we have to thank Heavenly Court for their propaganda. Now that the 5 regions all know that the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention is being held, the will of all 5 regions is concentrated here, except that Heavenly Court only collected the central part of it. Fang Yuan was silent for a moment and suddenly said, then do it, I can't maintain all of the battlefield, I can only try my best to stall for you. You have to fight for every second. Of course. Shen Shang said without any hesitation. Emperor City Battlefield. Kill. Combat Immortal Sex Gu Immortals shouted in unison. Under their maneuvering, the Immortal Gu House Edge Link camp suddenly surged in speed and rushed towards Western Desert Fang Clan's Inquiry Dock. Inquiry Dock retreated sharply. Edge Link camp suddenly shined with a dazzling light, the light condensed into a giant horn that rushed into the sky. It was Edge Link camp's killer move, Giant Horn Rush. Normally speaking, Inquiry Dock would not be afraid of this method, but after the amplification of human path killer move heroes among people, Giant Horn Rush's power doubled. Inquiry Dock was only an information path Immortal Gu House, it could not resist this fierce attack alone. Fallen Flower Hall quickly tried to help it and moved closer to Inquiry Dock, but wind-sweeping building restrained it. We cannot lose Inquiry Dock, our Fang Clan's 3 Immortal Gu houses can use the battlefield killer move Peach Blossom Maze. Fang Dichong quickly gave orders to save it. Peach Blossom Maze was able to trap rank 8 Gu Immortals, and back then it was even able to trap Divine Bean Palace. This killer move was famous and all the Western Desert Gu Immortals knew about it. It was just that since the battle started, Central Continent's side had taken the initiative and did not allow Western Desert to set it up, so there was no time to activate Peach Blossom Maze. Several Western Desert Immortal Gu houses supported Inquiry Dock at the same time, but at the next moment, Central Continent's lineup changed and formed a large encirclement, separating Inquiry Dock from the reinforcements. Damn it! Fang Dichang's expression sank, he had to move Divine Bean Palace to help it. Divine Bean Palace was the support pillar of Western Desert's troops, it should not be moved lightly. Once it was moved, it would cause Western Desert's entire arrangement to change, which would result in a gap to form and allow Central Continent's side to seize the opportunity. But at this moment, there was nothing that Fang Dichang could do. At the sight of Divine Bean Palace moving, the Central Continent Gu Immortals were excited. Fang Dichang fell for it. He is a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal, but the situation is forcing his hand after all. Attack! Western Desert's battle arrangement has gone chaotic, if we grab onto this opportunity, we will claim victory. Rumble. Central Continent's Immortal Gu houses erupted with a frenzy of attacks, it was like a tsunami that crashed towards Western Desert's forces. Oh no! This scene was so devastating that even Fang Dichang's expression changed. Western Desert's defeat was right before his eyes. Boom! With a loud explosion, a grand Immortal Gu house entered the battlefield. It was larger than Divine Bean Palace, with giant red gold bricks and black gold tiles around its walls. Countless statues were embedded on the surface of the palace, each one of them was lifelike and full of brilliance. This is Rank 8 Immortal Gu House, Myriad Statue Palace. Central Continent's attacks froze for a moment. At the next moment, from within Myriad Statue Palace came the voice of Thousand Transformations Ancestor. Central Continent's heavenly court is simply going overboard. This time, I, Thousand Transformations Ancestor, will make you pay with your blood. At the crucial moment, Thousand Transformations came to the rescue and finally salvaged the battle at Emperor City. Fang Dichang let out a long breath and muttered softly, "There's still some hope left in this fight." Hairy Foot Mountain Battlefield. Rumble. With a loud bang, a corner of the 5 regional limit formation broke again, it was like a pavilion that was see-through on all sides, the inside was visible to all. The formation spirit was so weak that it was nearly transparent. Zhan Budu was heavily injured, he only manipulated the formation while kneeling, his 7 orifices were bleeding, blood had gathered into a pool below him. Once we destroy this formation, there will be no obstacles left. Humph, if you want to find trouble with Heavenly Court, you're all not qualified enough. Mere rats, all of you will become prisoners of our Heavenly Court. As always, the main forces of Heavenly Court fought fiercely and furiously, their attacks were unceasing and increasingly coordinated, while Southern Border lost the rank 8 pillar Chi Chuyu, they could barely sustain the fight, they could not protect the 5 regional limit formation. It seems that my life ends here. But I am not going to let you guys have it easy either. Zhan Budu gritted his teeth and decided to use one final move to self-detonate the entire formation. Roar! Just before Zhan Budu was about to self-detonate, the loud roar of a dragon could suddenly be heard. The sound of the dragon resounded throughout heaven and earth, shaking the entire battlefield. Next, the five-colored smoke swirled violently and was brutally pushed apart by a huge object. At this moment, Heavenly Court and the Southern Border Immortals stared at the newcomer in shock. It was a giant dragon, unimaginably huge. The dragon head alone was like a chain of hills, and the dragon's body stretched endlessly. A Gu immortal's body could not even compare to a piece of the dragon's scales. Evil dragon. It is Zang Sheng. Why is it here? Zang Sheng's dragon eyes swept over the 5 regional limit formation and the Southern Border Immortals, quickly fixing on the main Heavenly Court forces. Heavenly Court's immortals suddenly felt an extremely strong sense of danger that threatened their lives. Roar! Zang Sheng roared again and rushed towards the Heavenly Court immortals. It's our reinforcements. The morale of the Southern Border Immortals was boosted. Wu Yong's eyes narrowed. Doesn't Zang Sheng hate all humans? How can it be manipulated and be an enemy of Heavenly Court? Who's controlling it? Who can manipulate it? For some reason, the image of Fang Yuan surfaced in Wu Yong's heart. We're finally saved. Zhan Budu sprawled on the ground in exhaustion. With the help of Zang Sheng, he was saved from the brink of self-detonating. Heavenly Court battlefield. Calamity Luck Altar was at its wit's end. Duke Long's constant bombardment caused a huge accumulation of damage. Calamity Luck Altar was in tatters. Bing Sichuan, who was controlling it, suffered heavy injuries. Qi Ci Lang had already fainted long ago. What caused this was just not Duke Long's divine might, but also the help of Qin Dingling and Fairy Ziwei. Qin Dingling was able to use Luck Path to effectively disintegrate the defenses of Calamity Luck Altar. Fairy Ziwei collected information from the battle and made deductions on the spot, telling Duke Long the best spots to attack. With these 3 Gu immortals working together, Longevity Heaven was in a precarious position. The destruction of Calamity Luck Altar was close at hand. Once it completely breaks apart, Longevity Heaven will suffer a devastating blow, and the result of the battle in Heavenly Court will be decided. Far away from Central Great Hall, at the peak of Star Zone Mountain, the 2 chess players' figures playing against each other emerged at some point in the Imperfection Regret Pavilion. No matter from any angle, one could only see a side of the faces of these 2 figures at most. The woman had peerless beauty, while the man looked as cold as ice. It was a contest between 2 venerables. It seems that our side has won this game by a little again. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable smiled slightly. Limitless Demon Venerable nodded. Heavenly Court awakened so many Gu immortals in advance this time. Aren't you afraid of getting completely assimilated by Heaven's will? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable grasped a chess piece. I still have some time. It seems that the person you are waiting for will not appear. Even if he arrives, it is too late. Limitless Demon Venerable was silent, but suddenly, his eyes shined with mysterious light. He seemed to have sensed something as he stood up and turned around to look at the Heavenly Court battlefield far away. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was stunned. She followed Limitless Demon Venerable's direction and saw that white profound light started to appear in the battlefield. With a shrill sound, a tunnel was opened. Myriad Year Flying Warship flew in through the tunnel. A Gu immortal was standing on it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had a deep gaze as she analyzed. This Gu immortal was dressed in a white robe, his sleeves were fluttering and his black hair was hanging down to his waist like a waterfall. His face was extremely handsome, almost delicate like a beauty, and what attracted people's attention most were his eyes, which were pitch black as if they were connected to the 9th layer of the deepest abyss, devouring all light that approached it. Fairy Ziwei's body shook as she said uncontrollably, Fang Yuan. So this is Fang Yuan. Qin Dingling coldly smiled. Regardless of who comes here, you cannot do anything. Duke Long did not raise his head, he still stared at Calamity Luck Altar as he tried to deal the fatal blow. Is that so? On Myriad Year Flying Warship, Fang Yuan smiled lightly as he observed the battlefield. He raised his hand slowly, his fingers outstretched as he aimed at the battlefield. At the next moment, the killer move that he prepared for a long time burst out, grand chi surged as heaven and earth shook intensely. Rumble. The colossal chi wall that enveloped Heavenly Court lasted for a few breaths of time before shattering into countless chi currents. They were all drawn by a formless force into Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. At once, the entire place went silent. Fairy Ziwei and Qin Dingling stared in a daze as they shouted in disbelief. Rank 8. Primordial origin Immortal Venerable's chi wall was actually. Duke Long slowly raised his head. He ignored Calamity Luck Altar as his gaze became fixed on Fang Yuan. His expression was completely different from before. Next, they heard Fang Yuan's plain voice reverberate in their ears. This unlimited Chi-Si killer move was modified by me. How is the power? Please do give me your honest opinion. Ha ha ha. Loud laughter was heard from within Imperfection Regret Pavilion. Limitless Demon Venerable raised his head as he laughed in joy and satisfaction. Look. He pointed at Fang Yuan, turning around to face Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. The person I am waiting for is here. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sighed deeply. She had a complex expression. Indeed, he has arrived. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan appeared in the battlefield personally, charging into Heavenly Court. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1934, Fang Yuan fights Duke Long. 1934 Fang Yuan fights Duke Long. Heavenly Court battlefield. This is the crucial person, Fang Yuan. Bing Sai Chuan muttered, looking at Fang Yuan who was high in the sky. Bull Demon and Flower Lady stared with their mouths wide open. Didn't they say Fang Yuan was rank 7? When did he reach rank 8? This lad. Mao Li Chiu gritted its teeth, feeling deep emotions inside. The last time it met Fang Yuan was in Reverse Flow River. Fang Yuan had used the river to escape. Other than that, he was weaker than Mao Li Chiu. But in their next encounter, he was able to destroy the primordial chi wall. Without the primordial chi wall, Calamity Luck Altar was like a fish in water. It regained freedom. The restraint holding them back was gone. They could see ways to attack and advance now. Oh no! Fairy Ziwei's face turned pale. She could not think of a countermeasure immediately. Attack! At the next moment, Bing Sai Chuan's voice resounded from Calamity Luck Altar. The Northern Plains Immortals summoned using Call of the Ancient all became energized. Their eyes shined with bright light as they split up and attacked the surroundings. These Northern Plains brutes had been suppressed for too long. Only Duke Long, Fairy Ziwei, and Qin Dingling were here. The three of them could not deal with so many Gu immortals at once. At the crucial moment, there was a tiger roar as a shabi emerged. There was the cry of a crane as a green jade crane flew out. These were two legendary immemorial beasts of Heavenly Court. One was Shabi 95, the other was Ruan Dan. The two legendary immemorial beasts joined the battle, desperately blocking the Northern Plains immortals. Fairy Ziwei quickly returned to Central Great Hall. She needed to protect old man Jing Yuan who was there. Meanwhile, Qin Dingling charged towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan stood on myriad-year flying warship as he observed the battlefield. Seeing the scattered Northern Plains immortals, he nodded in satisfaction. In order to destroy the Chi wall, he had prepared this move for a long time. Unlimited Chi-Si was the move that made Qi Xiang famous throughout the world back then. It was grand and vast, complex and ever-changing. It could attack and defend. It was a comprehensive method. It had potential for growth on its own, capable of growing stronger by gathering all the different Qi in the world. After Qi Xiang created this move, he collected all sorts of Qi and stored them inside the immortal aperture, including Life Qi, Death Qi, Sword Qi, Blade Qi, Dusk Qi, Dawn Qi. The more types of Qi gathered on large scales, the stronger unlimited Qi-Si was. Not only would this move expend immortal essence, it also used up the stored Qi. Even if they were not used, as time passed, these Qi would naturally dissipate slowly. Back then, Qi-Si Grotto Heaven's heavenly spirit used this move to survive many calamities and tribulations that the Grotto Heaven faced, among which were myriad tribulations. When Fang Yuan was attacked by this move, unlimited Qi was already weakened to its limit, even the heavenly spirit had to hibernate due to injuries. Thus, the actual power of unlimited Qi was not truly at the level when Fang Yuan saw it. Since rebirth, Fang Yuan had been thinking of the method to destroy primordial Qi wall. After getting unlimited Qi, he acutely sensed that this move was a counter to the Qi wall. However, the primordial Qi wall was a venerable method. Even if Fang Yuan had unlimited Qi and Great Grandmaster Qi Path attainment level, he would need more than a decade to unravel the Qi wall method while fully focused on making deductions. The solution to this problem was Duke Long. In order to recruit Qi ancestor, Duke Long used Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's Qi Path killer moves as bait. Even though Fang Yuan only obtained half of it, because of his insistence, the content included the primordial Qi wall as well. With it, Fang Yuan used the light of wisdom from Wisdom Gu to barely deduce and modify unlimited Qi before the great battle. As for how Fang Yuan invaded Heavenly Court, he used Heaven Form. He added the Time Path killer move Shrink Time into Heaven Form, allowing him to rapidly invade the target area. After all, he had deep attainment in Theft Path and Time Path. As the Fang Di Chang clone was also comprehending the Theft Path Immortal Gu House, he gained a lot of inspiration and insight. The Qi wall was too crucial of an element. With this Qi wall, Heavenly Court's enemies only had 3 routes to choose from. Those were the paths carved out by past demon venerables. But once the Qi wall vanishes, they could roam freely in Heavenly Court. With their current defense, they could not guard against everyone. The situation of the battle in Heavenly Court immediately was overturned. Once Fang Yuan took action, he gave Longevity Heaven and himself the initiative. They now had control over the battle. Fang Yuan, let me, Qin Ding Ling, see your skills. Qin Ding Ling turned into a golden ray of light as she flew in the sky, towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan took a glance at her. This was their first encounter. She was taller than normal people, her shoulders were broad, she stood straight and had a heroic aura. She had an outstanding air, especially her long legs. She was like innate royalty that ruled above the common man. Her nose bridge was tall and a little sharp, her lips were thin and her eyes were narrow and long, her gaze was emitting a cold light now. She was not a traditional beauty, she had an authoritative aura that was bred naturally within her. People would lower their heads and not dare to look at her directly. It was as if they could only look at her feet in order to not offend her. No wonder Giant Sun Immortal Venerable chose you as his concubine back then. Fang Yuan replied plainly. Qin Ding Ling's attacks became even fiercer instantly. Fang Yuan smiled coldly. He manipulated Myriad Year Flying Warship to move quickly, evading Qin Ding Ling. Qin Ding Ling's heart jumped, she cried out in dismay internally. She had great strength, having converted from Metal Path to Luck Path. Her battle strength was second to Duke Long and nobody else in Heavenly Court. She had no clear weaknesses. However, her speed was inferior to Myriad Year Flying Warship. At this moment, rapids surged below Myriad Year Flying Warship, pushing this rank 8 Immortal Gu House to move through the battlefield, heading directly to the Immortal Battlefield. Fang Yuan was passive earlier, but once he attacked, he aimed at Heavenly Court's weakness. The greatest weakness. At this moment, even Duke Long could not let him pass. The Immortal Graveyard was the most important place in Heavenly Court. Even Duke Long did not know how many Gu Immortals were slumbering inside. This was Heavenly Court's greatest wealth, it was their immense accumulation over millions of years since creation. In the previous life, even though Longevity Heaven reached Heaven Overseeing Tower, they could not threaten the Immortal Graveyard. But now that the Qi wall was broken, there were countless paths to take. They could approach the Immortal Graveyard. Duke Long gave up on Calamity Luck Altar. He flew rapidly and blocked the path of Myriad Year Flying Warship. Behind Myriad Year Flying Warship, Qin Ding Ling was chasing relentlessly. At once, Fang Yuan was encircled by Duke Long and Qin Ding Ling. Don't worry, I'll help you. Protect this person, he is the crucial person that Ancestor Giant Sun mentioned. That's right, even if we die, we need to protect him. The surrounding Northern Plains immortals gathered towards Fang Yuan. Bing Sai Chuan did not hesitate, he immediately mobilized Calamity Luck Altar to reinforce Fang Yuan. Right now, they had the common enemy Heavenly Court, they needed to work together. Since Fang Yuan came to help them, Bing Sai Chuan had to return the favor, they had to resist Heavenly Court's two strongest experts. Bing Sai Chuan had no better option now. If he let Duke Long kill Fang Yuan now, not only would they lose this source of battle strength, the rank 8 Immortal Gu House myriad-year flying warship would also become unmanned. Facing this unprecedented attack, Fang Yuan had a calm expression. However, when he was about to use his method against the enemies, he suddenly felt a sense of fire chi emerging in his heart, causing him to burn with fury. Next, a sense of sorrow chi pervaded his body, causing his defenses to fall rapidly. Next, a lump of old chi entered his body and mind, causing his lifespan to decrease continuously. There was also poison chi that spread around him, causing a lethal threat. Unlucky chi crowded above his head, causing his luck to fall. Silly chi filled his mind, the results of the collision of thoughts in his mind were all stupid ideas. Frost chi entered his body, causing his movements to slow down. All sorts of chi tangled around him. Fang Yuan's battle strength fell to rock bottom. In just a few breaths of time, he fell to the level of a rank 7 Gu immortal. After some more time, he was even weaker than an ordinary rank 6 Gu immortal. Duke Long saw Fang Yuan's aura weakening rapidly as he was surrounded by all sorts of chi. He felt overjoyed. This is Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's method. Fang Yuan destroyed the chi wall, causing this move to attack him. He had cultivated Primordial Origin's true inheritance after all, he could tell what had happened. But at the next moment, Duke Long saw a mild light shoot out behind him. It resembled a chess piece, rapidly entering Fang Yuan's body. Instantly, all of the chi around his body vanished, as if the former scene was an illusion. Duke Long's body and mind shook. He turned around at lightning speed, seeing that Limitless Demon Venerable silhouette had stood up from his seat for the first time in Imperfection Regret Pavilion. Looking over at this battlefield from afar, Duke Long's pupils shrunk slightly. At the crucial moment, Limitless Demon Venerable made a move, cleansing all of the chi currents around Fang Yuan's body. The Northern Plains immortals saw this and their hearts eased. Bing Sai Chuan was a little puzzled, so Fang Yuan had a method to make Limitless Demon Venerable turn around. How did he do it? I did not see him make any actions earlier. Immortal Killer Move, Dragon Roaring Wave. Duke Long opened his mouth and roared loudly. The sound waves of the dragon roar spread out rapidly, all over the place. Immortal Killer Move, Body Flicker. At the next moment, Duke Long teleported along with the dragon sound waves, directly appearing in front of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was still standing on the bow. The two were less than an arm's length away. One was the master of Red Lotus, the Dragonman ancestor, Duke Long. The other was the inheritor of Red Lotus, the new Dragonman ancestor, Fang Yuan. Oh no! Fang Yuan is overconfident. Quickly return to the Immortal Gu house. The Northern Plains immortals felt like they were falling into despair. They screamed. Duke Long's divine might was engraved in their minds. Nobody could face him head-on. Even Calamity Luck Altar, the legendary Immortal Gu house that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable personally created, could not resist Duke Long's offensive methods. Longevity Heaven's members were suppressed by Duke Long's power. They had to hide inside Calamity Luck Altar, not daring to fight outside. Immortal Killer Move, Dragon Claw Strike. Duke Long snorted coldly, his right hand turned into a dragon claw as he slashed at Fang Yuan's skull. Slap. At the next moment, there was a soft sound as Fang Yuan raised his furry left arm, blocking Duke Long's dragon claw. He blocked it. Be it Northern Plains immortals, Qin Ding Ling, or Fairy Zi Wei, they were all stunned. Nobody had ever been able to resist Duke Long in a frontal assault, but he had managed to block it with such ease. Fang Yuan's appearance was completely changed. He turned into a bandit monkey. Bandit monkeys were of strength path, their fur was golden and black tiger stripes covered their body. Fur grew out from their waist naturally to cover the crotch and the butt area, just like a kilt made of skin. Bandit monkeys respected strength and arm wrestling was their main social activity. Young monkeys could arm wrestle immediately after being born. Arm wrestling was not only a game for bandit monkeys, it was also a commonly used method to resolve disputes. There were Gu immortals who recognized the bandit monkey, feeling surprised, since when did bandit monkeys become so strong? Ordinary immemorial bandit monkeys could not resist Duke Long's attack. If they acted like Fang Yuan, their left arm would have been cut off on the spot. Fang Yuan's transformation was not so simple, of course. Before this, he had already used the killer move Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation. This was the ultimate method of Beast Calamity Immortal. It contained the highest profundity of transformation path, able to turn Dao marks of all other paths into transformation path Dao marks. How many Dao marks did Fang Yuan have now? Qi path had over 1 million, refinement path had 300,000, transformation path had 200,000, and that was not all, they were just the 3 highest paths. Just these alone, after using Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation, gave him 1,500,000 transformation path Dao marks. After Fang Yuan transformed into the bandit monkey, all of these transformation path Dao marks turned into strength path Dao marks. 1,500,000 strength path Dao marks. With just the Dao mark amplification alone, Fang Yuan could resist Duke Long's killer move. Duke Long's Dragon Claw strike landed on Fang Yuan's left arm. It felt like he was punching a mountain. A sense of danger appeared in Duke Long's mind, but Fang Yuan's right fist had already been launched. Boom! With a loud sound, Duke Long felt like he was a paper boat riding a ferocious wave. He felt like a mountain had slammed into him. An unimaginable force caused him to fly away at a speed that could not be observed with the naked eye. Duke Long flew like a comet, crashing into the ground at lightning speed. With a loud crash, the surroundings shook, a huge dust cloud spread out. Everyone was silent. This time, fear and disbelief appeared on the faces of the Northern Plains and Heavenly Court Gu immortals. Everyone's attention was on Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan stood at the bow of his ship while transformed into the bandit monkey. He looked down plainly at the pit he created. It was the pit created by Duke Long, who had been sent flying. It was 30 feet deep. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1935, Star Constellation vs. Limitless. 1935 Star Constellation vs. Limitless. Ever since the start of the battle, this was the first time anyone had seen Duke Long be sent flying far away from an attack. Not only did Fang Yuan defend against Duke Long's attack, he even retaliated and sent him flying. This was far out of anyone's expectations. He actually became so strong. What sort of growth speed is this? Mao Li Chiu opened its mouth. It stood up subconsciously, no longer lying on the ground. The crucial person that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable is waiting for, indeed, he lives up to ancestors' expectations. Bing Sai Chuan sighed with a complex expression. Unknowingly, Qin Ding Ling's speed had fallen as she chased after Fang Yuan. What a joke! Fang Yuan sent Duke Long flying. What did that mean? Even though Qin Ding Ling was strong, she knew her limits. She knew the difference between Duke Long and her. Back then, in order to perceive Duke Long's luck, she paid a huge price and had to rest for many days to recover. Right now, the result of this collision eliminated any thought she had of observing Fang Yuan's luck. Qin Ding Ling was in quite an awkward predicament now. She wanted to fight and kill Fang Yuan earlier, but now, after seeing this, oh heavens! What a fierce person! Qin Ding Ling directly stopped moving. She did not dare to approach Fang Yuan anymore. The transformation path cultivation level that Fang Yuan displayed earlier showed that close combat was not his weakness, it was his strength instead. Qin Ding Ling changed her mind instantly. She decided to assist Duke Long instead. She did not want to fight Fang Yuan directly anymore. This is a monster. To think that in the future after I died, such a demonic immortal would appear, this is so interesting. Let's go, he does not need our help. Northern Plains immortals quickly turned around. They left, spreading out to the surroundings. Fairy Ziwei frowned tightly. She had a heavy heart. Northern Plains immortals were moving around all over the place. All of them had their own chosen routes to advance. if they destroyed everything along their path, how could Heavenly Court stop them all? Even if a large number of Gu immortals woke up in the immortal graveyard now, they would need time to gather their immortal Gu. It was too late now. I can only defend the most important areas now. Fairy Ziwei gritted her teeth. She made a painful decision, deciding to abandon the deadweight. Dust clouds dissipated. Within the huge pit, Duke Long stood up slowly. You really surprise me time and time again, Fang Yuan. Duke Long raised his head to look at Fang Yuan. He had a calm expression but his tone was eerie. He was hit by Fang Yuan's fist directly, his chest only caved in slightly. While he spoke, his wound healed completely as his chest returned to normal. He was the Dragonman ancestor after all, his recovery speed was shockingly fast. Fang Yuan looked at Duke Long as well. Upon seeing this, his expression did not change. Everything was within his expectations. Duke Long was not heavily injured. The attack earlier had a huge commotion but the effect on the enemy was small. He had only caught Duke Long off guard. After all, Fang Yuan did not use any immortal killer moves then. He only raised his fist and attacked with the amplification of Strength Path Dao marks. With the support of over 1,000,000 Strength Path Dao marks, Fang Yuan's bandit monkey form had immense strength. Duke Long could not compare to it. But he had many immortal killer moves defending him. He was tough as steel. Even if he was sent flying, he was still intact. Below Myriad your flying warship, the water of the river of time surged as this time path immortal Gu house moved suddenly. It was like a huge flying sword, tearing through space and creating a dazzling rainbow behind it. It pierced towards the immortal graveyard. Duke Long snorted coldly. A frenzied light flashed in his eyes as his deep killing intent surged without concealment. It was as if a fierce tide was raging. He was now in a passive spot. With Fang Yuan's attack, he had no choice but to defend. This was a terrible feeling. Once the primordial Qi wall was broken, Fang Yuan's side gained the initiative. Their target was the immortal graveyard. Duke Long was sent flying by Fang Yuan's fist earlier. His air of intimidation took a beating. He decided to focus on the enemy ahead now. The truth was in front of him. Trying to engage in close combat with Fang Yuan in order to kill him was an impossible dream. Immortal killer move, Qi Breath Mountain. Rumble. A grand Qi current gathered and formed into a translucent mountain. The mountain was hundreds of li large as it slammed down. Fang Yuan was at the bottom of the mountain now. Raising his head to look at it, the mountain pressed down like the entire world. He could not evade it. Fang Yuan did not intend to evade it either. He stopped his bandit monkey transformation as he turned into a majestic astral wind flying heavenly boar. Astral wind flying heavenly boar lived in the sky. They were Qi path beasts that could fly freely. They were agile like flying fish. They had agility incomparable with their boar bodies. They could charge into the heavenly wind Qi wall with ease. With a leap, they could enter the heavenly wind Qi wall and swim inside like fish in water. Fang Yuan's four legs stepped on Myriad your flying warship. He did not raise his head, he only growled slightly. Immortal killer move, rampaging Qi roar. This was a Qi path killer move but it originated from Langya Sect's treasury. In the past, when Langya Land's spirit controlled heavenly giant Solar, he used this move against the sharp-tusked boar, killing this ancient desolate beast with one move on the spot. Now that Fang Yuan used it, with his 1,500,000 Qi path Dao marks, the power had risen by 1,500 times. Boom! The Qi breath mountain exploded from Fang Yuan's roar. Countless currents spread out and formed tornadoes that swept the battlefield. His killer move was broken. Duke Long suffered a backlash. But this Dao Guardian of Red Lotus Demon Venerable still had great morale after suffering a setback. He used another move. Immortal killer move, Qi current scissors. He raised both fists, spreading out his 10 fingers. Countless pale Qi currents moved out from his palms. They slashed towards Fang Yuan like thin threads. In a few breaths of time, tens of thousands of pale white thread Qi currents moved like a torrent or swarm of moths, approaching from all over the place. Every Qi current was like a blade. Even if an immemorial desolate beast faced this move, they would be covered in cuts and injuries, until all of their flesh was removed and only a skeleton was left. Against this move, Fang Yuan's astral wind flying heavenly boar form was not useful, he changed his form again. This time, he turned into a crane. It was a chi path immortal beast as well, single chi crane. The flying crane was as large as a horse, it was beautiful and had a long proud neck, its wings were huge like two capes, spreading out on the bow of myriad-year flying warship. Fang Yuan spread his wings and waved them, at once, thousands of feathers gave off shining light. At the next moment, immortal killer move divine flick, 1, was ready to strike, Fang Yuan unleashed it. Cling cling cling. Countless shrill sounds could be heard as chi currents shot out of his feathers, crashing into Duke Long's chi current scissors. As the two offensive methods collided, most of them were dispersed by each other, only a small amount got past and hit Duke Long and myriad-year flying warship respectively. No matter which side, against such trivial lingering attacks, they did not even blink. Immortal killer move, moving chi ring. Fang Yuan used another move as his beak opened, he blew as white chi came out. The white chi spread out rapidly, entangling with the back of myriad-year flying warship, causing its speed to rise sharply, shooting forward. Duke Long's expression changed, he realized the problem and quickly chased. According to conventional wisdom, moving chi ring was a chi path killer move, it would not be useful when it supported a time path immortal Gu house. But Fang Yuan had modified this move himself, it was rank 8. With the support of a vast number of chi path Dao marks, its power rose by 1,000 times, it pushed myriad-year flying warship forward while defying common logic. Fang Yuan quickly got past the several northern plains immortals in front, he reached the immortal graveyard before anyone else. Looking at the immortal graveyard, it was wide and large, there were countless gravestones on the lush grassland, each of these gravestones were different, some were golden, some were short, some did not even have gravestones but were half-exposed coffins instead that were buried under the soil. The sacred atmosphere of dignity and solemnity, filled with history, enveloped the immortal graveyard. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, he turned into the bandit monkey again, ready to attack the immortal graveyard again. At this moment, star constellation immortal Venerable's silhouette sighed in imperfection regret pavilion, grabbing 3 chess pieces and tossing them out. The pieces did not attack Fang Yuan, they fused into the formation here. Fairy Ziwei was inside the formation core now, she controlled star constellation chessboard to observe the situation. After these pieces fell into star constellation chessboard, Fairy Ziwei felt the power of this formation rise as it broke its limit, reaching an unimaginable level. Fairy Ziwei was overjoyed, she quickly activated the formation and aimed it at Fang Yuan. A huge starlight pillar shined down as Fang Yuan and myriad-year flying warship vanished within the starlight. At the next moment, another starlight pillar appeared behind Duke Long as Fang Yuan and myriad-year flying warship appeared. With the help of star constellation immortal Venerable's silhouette, Heavenly Court's formation gained the ability to teleport people of Fang Yuan and Duke Long's level. This is star constellation immortal Venerable's method. Fang Yuan noticed the situation and let out a breath of air, this did not happen in the previous life. I have so many Dao marks but the starlight pillar can still teleport me forcefully. Impressive. However, I'm afraid this distance is its limit. Cold light shined in Fang Yuan's eyes. Next, he saw that several northern plains immortals were also forcefully teleported away from the immortal graveyard. But these people vanished from Heavenly Court directly, they were likely sent outside. Fang Yuan looked at other places. A few northern plains immortals had already succeeded, they either destroyed resource points or immortal Gu houses. He immediately realized something else, it seems that the formation's power is limited even after receiving the help of star constellation immortal Venerable. It can only allow Heavenly Court to defend some important areas. Even so, it was enough for now. Heavenly Court finally stabilized the situation, their losses were not severe. Within Imperfection Regret Pavilion, Limitless Demon Venerable's silhouette turned around and looked at star constellation immortal Venerable, you are quite generous, using 3 pieces like that. But now, you have the disadvantage in this game. Saying so, Limitless Demon Venerable's silhouette smiled, he returned to his seat and sat down calmly. Back then, I threatened to destroy Heavenly Court and forced you to accept this game. 1,000,000 years passed, our powers weave and influence this chessboard, we have been stuck at a deadlock. Now, I only used one piece but you used 3, if I attack now, you will be in trouble. Limitless Demon Venerable smiled as he placed his finger at one spot on the chessboard. A brand new chess piece appeared on the board when he retracted his finger. This chess piece contained the power of Limitless Demon Venerable's silhouette. The spot it occupied was where one of the 3 pieces that star constellation Immortal Venerable used earlier was situated. Star constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette smiled indifferently. Back then, your main body wanted to gain the Heaven Path foundation of Heavenly Court, so you set up this game. This chess game secretly connects to the Tao field that you created in your later years, Crazed Demon Cave. The more you win, the more Heaven Path foundation you gain, and the more helpful it will be for the derivation over in Crazed Demon Cave. That's right, you're absolutely right. Limitless Demon Venerable admitted to his greed. This was an open scheme, there was nothing to hide. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette smiled again. There was no helping it in that situation, so what if you gain some Heaven Path foundation? Times are different now, your main body's lifespan ran out long ago, you are already dead. Limitless Demon Venerable's silhouette was slightly stunned before his eyes shined with bright light. He realized, Heavenly Court made arrangements in my Crazed Demon Cave as well. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette praised truthfully, Crazed Demon Cave is uniquely blessed, the Venerables that came after you were unwilling to destroy it, a few of them even left behind their Tao fields. Over there, the few of us will definitely have a huge contest, but that is something for the future. 1. Originally Chizai's Mortal Killer move from Chapter 1040. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1936, Heavenly Court, S3 Elites against Fang Yuan. 1936 Heavenly Court, S3 Elites against Fang Yuan. It seems that to destroy Heavenly Court's immortal graveyard, I will need to destroy this transportation formation first. Fang Yuan's gaze flashed like lightning. He started at the formation far away. The myriad year flying warship below his feet moved according to his will. The ship shot out like a large flying sword towards the formation. Fairy Ziwei was guarding the formation in the central hall. Seeing Fang Yuan's assault, she took a deep cold breath. She felt immense pressure towering over her. Fang Yuan, with me here, you will not move freely. Duke Long roared as he stepped forward to block myriad year flying warship. Seeing this, Fairy Ziwei let out a sigh of relief. Thankfully, we have Lord Duke Long guarding us. Boom! Fang Yuan and Duke Long clashed. Duke Long was sent flying while Fang Yuan and myriad year flying warship only flew back by 1,000 steps. The aftermath of the combat stirred up thousands of storm clouds and set off monstrous air currents, the aftermath of which was so vast that it resembled a hurricane. The rank 8 Gu immortals were swept and blown away by the aftershocks. Even Calamity Luck Alter halted. Bing Sai Chuan and the others inside were unable to stand on their feet firmly, their bodies were shaking violently. Subconsciously, everyone started to avoid Fang Yuan and Duke Long. Fang Yuan was blocked. As expected, only a monster can block a monster. Let the two of them fight. Only Qin Dingling gritted her teeth and forced herself to fly over, intending to reinforce Duke Long as his support. Fang Yuan and Duke Long clashed again, tornadoes formed, lightning flashed and thunder roared. Because of Heavenly Dragon's last stand, Duke Long was getting stronger by the minute. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan had a large number of Tao marks and myriad year flying warship. He had the upper hand for now. Duke Long continued to move back as the two of them fought closer and closer to the teleportation formation. Immortal Killer move, self-moving dragon Chi Wall. Left without a choice, Duke Long roared as he spread his arms. A huge invisible Chi Wall appeared before Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan pushed myriad year flying warship to charge forward. After moving for a few dozen steps, he was stopped by the Chi Wall, unable to move further. Duke Long started to cultivate Primordial Origin's true inheritance long ago. He naturally knew about the killer move Chi Wall. This move was modified by him. Fang Yuan could vaguely see countless Chi currents inside the wall. These currents were all dragon-shaped, the dragon head spun around while chasing the tail, creating countless whirlpools. These dragon-shaped chi currents were very profound. They could reduce the force of external impacts and greatly increase the chi wall's durability. Duke Long's self-moving dragon chi wall could not be as firm as the primordial chi wall, but it was very durable. It successfully obstructed Fang Yuan. Even though Fang Yuan used unlimited chi si to destroy the primordial chi wall, he had modified it according to his understanding of the chi wall in the first place. Currently, Fang Yuan knew little about this dragon chi wall. It was impossible to replicate his former success now. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with brilliance. Since he could not unravel this move, he had to use force instead. He turned into a bandit monkey again, stretching his arms as he pushed forward. Immortal killer move, strength path giant hand. Rumble. The surrounding 1,000 feet of air was pushed aside. Two translucent hands that were the size of mountains crashed towards Duke Long's chi wall with immeasurable might. Within the chi wall, Duke Long raised his head and spread out his arms, sustaining his chi wall killer move. The two strength path giant hands moved for several hundred steps before becoming slower, unable to advance further. Fang Yuan and Duke Long had solemn expressions as they exerted strength, falling into a deadlock. Good chance. Seeing this, Qin Dingling realized that her chance to attack had arrived. In the earlier battle, she could not find a chance to attack, she could only prepare her killer moves. Once the chance arrived, she immediately threw out a small golden dagger. The dagger was only the size of a thumb. It flew into the air and grew larger as it moved. By the time it reached the top of Fang Yuan's head, it was already the size of a horse carriage. Swish swish swish. The golden blade swung down, attempting to slice off Fang Yuan's luck advantage. But cooking luck pot suddenly appeared above Fang Yuan. It flew up and resisted the attack of the golden blade. Clang clang clang. The golden blade landed on cooking luck pot. Golden sparks appeared due to the collision. In a few breaths of time, the golden blade slashed for several hundred times before fading away on its own. Cooking luck pot completely defended against this killer move. Even though cracks appeared on the surface, it was intact overall. The golden blade was a rank 8 luck path killer move. While cooking luck pot had been elevated to a rank 7 immortal Gu house, it could resist rank 8 attacks. Cooking luck pot. Qin Dingling exclaimed in shock, recognizing it immediately. She was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's concubine after all. She knew about the existence of cooking luck pot. Your cooking luck pot is only rank 7, even if it can block me 10 times, can it stop me 20 times? 30 times? Qin Dingling snorted coldly in her mind, attacking Fang Yuan furiously. Cooking luck pot was only rank 7, even though it could resist rank 8, Qin Dingling was not an ordinary rank 8 Gu immortal, she was specialized in luck path. Cooking luck pot could block her now, but the duration would not be long. Fang Yuan noticed this too. He immediately withdrew his strength path giant hands and stopped this immortal killer move. Duke Long was still sustaining the chi wall. He could not attack. Fang Yuan was able to retreat with ease. Qin Dingling, you did well. Duke Long praised secretly. In the deadlock earlier, Duke Long was in a disadvantage. Over half of his dragon spirals in the chi wall had dissipated. Thankfully, Qin Dingling interfered and forced Fang Yuan to retreat. Thoughts clashed like lightning in Fang Yuan's mind as he analyzed the situation. He had abundant methods, but as long as the transportation formation existed, he could not use most of his methods casually. Once he activates these methods and Fairy Z-Wei tries to teleport him forcefully, it might greatly disrupt Fang Yuan, causing his activation to fail. Once his killer move fails, he would suffer varying extents of backlash. If Fang Yuan suffered a backlash now, the consequences would be unthinkable. Because of his Dao mark amplification, the power was at least 1,500 times. The backlash would be equally amplified. And more terrifyingly, the sovereign immortal body had non-conflicting Dao marks. Fang Yuan had to endure the complete backlash. That way, as long as Fang Yuan faced one backlash, he would likely die. Only moves like Strength Path Giant Hand with low activation time could be used, as they only needed few thoughts to maintain. Even if the killer move was destroyed, only the Strength Path Giant Hands would break apart. The Gu Immortal's own backlash would be very marginal. In that case, let me try another move. Fang Yuan began to prepare his killer move. He cultivated all paths, he had abundant methods. In this regard, even Duke Long and Thunder Ghost True Monarch, these dual cultivators, could not match up. In a few breaths of time, Fang Yuan's killer move was prepared. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Self. Swoosh 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 swoosh. Countless Fang Yuan spread out into the sky from Myriad Your Flying Warship. A 10,000-person army was formed instantly. The original Myriad Self-Killer move was turned into an Immortal Gu recipe by Fang Yuan, in which he refined Immortal Gu Myriad Self. But the Myriad Self-Killer move that Fang Yuan used now was not the original version, it was a Human Path Killer move that used Myriad Self-Immortal Gu as the core. At the next moment, all of the Fang Yuan clones charged towards the Qi wall. Their strength was lower than the main body, of course, but because his main body had too many Dao marks, all of these Myriad Self-clones all had at least Desolate Beast level battle strength. After using this killer move, Fang Yuan gained a Desolate Beast army that numbered to 10,000. All of these clones were controlled by Fang Yuan with ease, as if they were extensions of his limbs. A portion of the Myriad Self army charged towards the Qi wall, some charged at Qin Ding Ling, while the bulk of them got past the Qi wall and attacked the transportation formation behind instead. Even though Duke Long's Qi wall was strong, it could not compare to the primordial Qi wall. Duke Long's heart jumped, he tried to cancel this move, but Fang Yuan's main body came charging with Myriad Your Flying Warship. Duke Long grunted as he dispelled that thought, continuing to maintain the Qi wall. In a battle between experts, activating killer moves was not easy, but dispelling them was similarly difficult. On the other end, Qin Ding Ling was surrounded by Fang Yuan's clones as they fought. Qin Ding Ling was very powerful, these clones were no threat to her, but they were enough to distract her, she had to waste time and effort to deal with them. Fairy Zi Wei took in a deep breath of shock. She instantly realized, this was a huge test to her. If she failed the test, the transportation formation would be destroyed, it would cause a series of problems, the entire battle situation would crumble, the plan to repair Fate Gu would fail. There is no time to mobilize Heavenly Court's forces. I can only rely on myself. Fairy Zi Wei had a determined expression as she did her best, instilling all of her attention into the formation. She was wholeheartedly concentrating. Star Constellation chessboard buzzed incessantly, its chess pieces were shining in starlight on the surface of Star Constellation chessboard, with 3 of them being the brightest. These were the 3 pieces that Star Constellation Silhouette had tossed over earlier. Fairy Zi Wei's mind had countless thoughts that resembled the starry sky, they shined brightly. The formation activated, shooting out waves of starlight specks. Countless specks landed on Fang Yuan's clones, very few missed their target, even though Fang Yuan's clones were doing their best to dodge. As long as they were hit by the starlight specks, they would be teleported outside of Heavenly Court, vanishing instantly. These clones did not have the killer move Heaven form, they could not rejoin the battle. Good. Duke Long and Qin Ding Ling let out sighs of relief. Fairy Zi Wei did not disappoint them, at the crucial moment, she gave a display of a wisdom path great expert. Fang Yuan frowned lightly, this will not do. Fate Gu is slowly being repaired, Heavenly Court has the overall momentum in this battle. Fairy Zi Wei cannot last long, but she is planning to stall for time. Over here, I am obstructed by Duke Long and Qin Ding Ling. Fang Yuan looked at Longevity Heaven's side again. These people were obstructed by the transportation formation too. Calamity Luck Altar was charging towards Heaven Overseeing Tower, but a starlight pillar was moving them back each time. If I ask them to reinforce me, they would receive the same treatment too. Furthermore, if they come here, I will not be able to use my methods freely, I should let them attack the surroundings to pressure and drain Fairy Zi Wei's energy. Duke Long's Qi wall could move, it could not block the myriad self-clones, but it could block myriad your flying warship wholeheartedly. As Fang Yuan fought against Duke Long, he contacted Eastern Sea's immortals. Heavenly Court's transportation formation had one great weakness: it needed stars as the springboard. Even within Heavenly Court, that was the case. The starlight pillars shot down from white heaven's countless stars. Fang Yuan could not destroy the transportation formation now, but it was the same if the stars in white heaven were destroyed. Luckily, a group of Eastern Sea rank 8s were there. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1937, Rod Transformation. 1937 Rod Transformation. Eastern Sea's 8 Gu immortals had already arrived in White Heaven. They destroyed many stars. Their ambition was not as large as Southern Border, Northern Plains, and Western Desert. They only wanted to plunder some central continent resources and expend its foundation. Because they were worried that Heavenly Court would send reinforcements to stop them, they targeted the stars in White Heaven instead. Their strategy had coincidentally become the most crucial point in the entire battle right now. Among them were Zhang Yin, Granny Rong, and the other dragon generals. Wu Shuai did not recall them. They were left in this group, to try to destroy the stars. Wu Shuai made a wise decision. If only Shen Shang, Qin Yuan, Hua Kai Yun, and Song Qi Yuan were left, they might not have enough guts to destroy the stars. Eastern Sea's 8 immortals were quite efficient in destroying the stars. The 8 of them arrived in front of a giant-sized star. The star was so huge that these 8 immortals felt very minute. Heavenly Court scattered countless stars in White Heaven. They were mutually connected, creating a web that had its own arrangements. Each area had a giant star as the formation core. Around the giant star were many large-sized stars. And around the large-sized stars were countless mid- and small-sized stars, flying around casually. They did not have fixed locations. Song Qi Yuan first flew onto the giant star as he shut his eyes, quietly sensing the connection between the stars. More than 10 breaths later, he shut his eyes, activating a light path killer move as he pointed far away. Each time he pointed, a sharp profound light would shoot out of his finger at lightning speed, vanishing into the horizon. Far away, mid- and small-sized stars exploded into smithereens. This light path killer move was very special. It could trace the source of any light and attack it. It could even target gazes. In the previous life, Song Qi Yuan used this move to destroy a star that Fang Yuan refined, causing his star eyes Immortal Gu to fail. In this life, Song Qi Yuan used this move against Heavenly Court. The effect was immediate as well. After Song Qi Yuan destroyed all of the stars he could sense, he stopped and nodded at Qin Yuan. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Mountain Ranges. Qin Yuan gave a cry as the phantom image of countless mountains appeared. The entire mountain range crashed into the giant star. The giant star was huge, but it was just an immortal material. Under the attack of the rank 8 killer move, it shattered and was destroyed, breaking into countless star fragments. Almost at the same time the giant star was destroyed, Fairy Ziwei, who was within Heavenly Court's transportation formation, sensed it. Her expression changed. The destruction of one giant star was not an issue. Heavenly Court scattered many stars in White Heaven. The loss of one was insignificant. But in this situation, it had a different implication. Currently, Northern Plains Immortals and Fang Yuan's clones were attacking all the important areas of Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei had to activate the formation to transport them away. The formation was constantly activated. It was like a person running while keeping a dangerous balance. If the person steps on a rock, no matter how small it is, they would lose their balance and fall, getting injured. The faster they are running, the heavier their injuries when they fall. The transportation formation was being used so intensely now. If any errors happen when the destroyed star is needed for the process, the transportation formation would be severely damaged by its own backlash. It might get destroyed. Fairy Ziwei had thought that these Eastern Sea Immortals held the lowest threat to them, but to think that in this situation and time, the 8 Eastern Sea Immortals were her most fatal threat. She had to be careful now. Any suspicious stars could not be used now. Fang Yuan acutely sensed the changes in the formation. He attacked wildly while activating Myriad itself, and also transmitting information to Shen Shang. Shen Shang received Fang Yuan's message and understood Heavenly Court's situation. He became very excited. He urged the 7 immortals, "Now is our best chance. Fang Yuan has already made his move, Heavenly Court cannot divert its attention. The more stars we destroy, the more problems Heavenly Court will face." Heavenly Court's main forces are restrained in Hairy Foot Mountain, while Heavenly Court itself is being attacked by Longevity Heaven and Fang Yuan. If we do well here, we might have a chance of destroying Heavenly Court. Shen Shang's words raised the morale of the other 7 immortals. Their efficiency went up at once. Hairy Foot Mountain Battlefield. The sharp sound of Phoenix chirping pierced the eardrums and ran through the battlefield. The source of the sound was Prince Feng Xian's killer move, Phoenix chirping Divine Flame. The flames burned with raging intensity, coiling around Zang Sheng's body as it was set ablaze. At the other side, Zhang Shui also used her killer move. Countless water waves rushed towards Zang Sheng's body without stopping even for a moment. Zang Sheng was attacked by more than just these 2 people. It was just too large. Heavenly Court's immortals had their own area to target and attack. Zang Sheng roared continuously. It was attacked by flames and water, lightning and poison, but it still rushed towards the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. The attacks of the Heavenly Court immortals did not distract it successfully. Its performance did not fit historical records. Back then, Zang Sheng caused chaos and attacked everything in its sight. It was easily drawn away. It had never shown such a clear objective. Oh no! This legendary immemorial beast has likely been enslaved. Zhou Xiong Xin shouted. Heavenly Court's main forces did not have Wisdom Path Gu immortals, but Zhou Xiong Xin cultivated Information Path. He was most skilled at collecting information and clues. He even had Information Path killer moves that could mimic Wisdom Path effects. After fighting for some time, Zhou Xiong Xin immediately deduced the truth behind Zang Sheng. Zang Sheng was attacked by the Heavenly Court immortals. It was covered in injuries. In terms of defense, it was inferior to Duke Long. It also had no wild immortal Gu. It was fighting with its own innate abilities. Every time it waved its claws, it could create a gale. The Heavenly Court immortals avoided them, none of them wanting to try the feeling of being caught by Zang Sheng. Each of its roars could set off shocking waves of sound, violently impacting everyone's eardrums and hearts. Its size was too large. Even if it suffered countless blows, it was not a big deal to its entire body. It endured the furious attacks of the Heavenly Court Gu immortals. It persevered towards the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation as it began to cause destruction. Heavenly Court's immortals felt a sense of helplessness. Against Zang Sheng, even if they used their full strength, they were like rats trying to topple an elephant. What do I do? At this rate, the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation cannot sustain itself. Attacking the enemy will save it. We have to face offense with offense. Heavenly Court's immortals had rich experience. They quickly found a countermeasure. Vortex Space Boy and Jun Shengguang moved ahead while Zhu K-Air and Zhu K-Air became the middle group. They all moved towards the 5 regional limit formation. At this moment, Zang Sheng opened its mouth. An immortal Gu house flew out. This immortal Gu house was shining in orange gold light. It was grand and overbearing. This was the rank 8 immortal Gu house, Dragon Palace. A wave of smoke flew out of Dragon Palace like an illusory dream. Dream Path killer move. Heavenly Court's immortals recognized it. They were shocked and fearful, quickly dodging. Wherever dreamy light smoke went, Heavenly Court's immortals dodged and gave way. The light smoke covered the 5 regional limit formation and quickly retrieved it. Heavenly Court's immortals tried to use methods to attack dreamy light smoke, but Dream Path killer moves were unstoppable in this era. All of their hard work ended up in vain. The 5 regional limit formation was brought into Dragon Palace. Zhan Budu stored it away. After landing inside Dragon Palace, he met with Wu Shuai. Wu Shuai used Dragon Palace's methods to immediately heal him. Heavenly Court was a strong foe. Even though they were in a disadvantage, they could still retaliate. Heavenly Court's main forces used the best tactic. forcing Zhan Budu to store the 5 regional limit formation. This formation had already been attacked countless times, it was at its limits already. Not only did Zhan Budu need healing, this 5 regional limit formation also needed to be repaired. Without the formation, even though there was still 5-colored smoke in the battlefield, it lost its source and quickly dwindled. Wu Shui drove Dragon Palace directly into the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation with Zang Sheng, without tangling with Heavenly Court's members. Hold on. We need to hold on. The Gu immortals controlling the formation shouted, the atmosphere was tense and solemn. In order to protect Hairy Foot Mountain and infallible Blessed Land, they had to keep the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation up. However, be it the 5-colored smoke or Zang Sheng, they were fatally dangerous to the formation. After entering the formation, Zang Sheng's strength rose greatly. It was restricted in the 5-colored smoke earlier, after all, it was a Central Continent legendary immemorial beast, it was not from the 9 heavens. Immortal Killer Move, Unlimited Wind. While Heavenly Court's main forces retreated, Wu Yong found a chance and permanently expended Wind Path Dao marks to unleash the unceasing tornado. The tornado rampaged, suppressing the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation from the outside, adding an additional problem to Heavenly Court. Emperor City Battlefield. Myriad Statue Palace and Divine Bean Palace helped each other, firmly holding Western Desert's ground. Thousand Transformations Ancestor charged into the battle alone, using all sorts of powerful transformation path killer moves to force back Yuyang Palace and Frost Dragon Manor. Like Zhang Fei Xiong and Flesh Whip Immortal, Thousand Transformations Ancestor also had the ability to fight Immortal Gu houses with his body. But the overall situation was, Central Continent still had the upper hand. They were all affected by heroes among people, this human path killer move was indeed a venerable method, it could not be assessed with common sense. Within Emperor City, the competition was also at a crucial stage. Hong Yi stared at the fire with his full concentration. No matter how the immortals fought outside, they could not disturb him. Yi Fan was the same, he wholeheartedly wanted to compete with Hong Yi. But different from Hong Yi, he was using a light path refinement method, aurora lights constantly moved vividly, reflecting off his face. In the competition ground, one by one, Gu masters failed, success Dao marks were sent to infallible Blessed Land by batches. Next, the success Dao marks in infallible Blessed Land were extracted by Heavenly Court and sent to Yuan Qiongdu. Yuan Qiongdu controlled the refinement path Gu formation, he continued to repair Fate Gu, he was making quick progress. Within this refinement path Gu formation, there were Song Yan and Che Wei defending the place with their full strength. As Northern Plains Gu immortals got near the formation, starlight would land on them, they would be teleported out without resistance. As expected of Lady Zi Wei. She is so dependable. Che Wei and Song Yan sighed. Persevere, persevere. Fairy Zi Wei was covered in sweat now, her face was pale and her head was emitting steam from overheating. She encouraged herself continuously, the situation is still within my grasp, persistence will lead to victory. But at the next moment, Fang Yuan, who was on Myriad Your Flying Warship, laughed loudly. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation. Immortal Killer Move, Falling Star Rod Transformation. He suddenly turned into a huge rod, black and thick. Next, he used a Star Path Killer Move, leading countless stars. Oh no! Fairy Zi Wei's expression changed, she felt like she was sitting on a wild horse carriage that could not stop. The horse pulling it was rampaging, even if she held the reins, she could not stop this horse carriage anymore. Boom! At the next moment, the entire transportation formation self-detonated, starlight specks faded away, no longer shining down. Fairy Zi Wei suffered an immense backlash, she was at the point of near death, falling unconscious. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1938, Heavenly Court, S Crisis. 1938 Heavenly Court, S Crisis. The transportation formation's self-detonation shook all the surroundings as Heavenly Court's battlefield froze for a moment. Next, Northern Plains immortals erupted with cheers and caused a huge commotion. Ziwei. Qin Dingling turned pale with shock as she turned into a flash of light, saving Fairy Ziwei from the rubble of the transportation formation. Fairy Ziwei had fainted, she was in poor shape, Qin Dingling needed to save her immediately. Qin Dingling had no hesitation, she immediately retreated, no longer assisting Duke Long in battle. She knew her limits, she was not very useful for Duke Long, while Fairy Ziwei was the strategist of Heavenly Court, she was vital and could not be lost. Fang Yuan wanted to use this chance to kill Fairy Ziwei of course, but Duke Long blocked his advancement each time. Undeniably, Duke Long's modified Qi Wall was very strong, it got past the immobile weakness of the primordial Qi Wall, it was agile and durable. After Duke Long used this move, even Fang Yuan's myriad-year flying warship could not break through it. Within the Qi Wall, Duke Long had a grim expression, he treated Fang Yuan as the greatest enemy of his life, the disdain and contempt he showed earlier were completely gone. Only until Fang Yuan destroyed the transportation formation did Duke Long realize, Fang Yuan's myriad self-killer move earlier was just a distraction, it was intended to stall for time. Fang Yuan's true method was waiting all along in the dark, once used, it caused a huge impact. Why does Fang Yuan have the method to break the formation so coincidentally? Duke Long knew that Fang Yuan was able to break the Qi Wall earlier because of his rebirth. But this transportation formation was definitely out of Fang Yuan's expectations, he was troubled by it earlier after all, if he had seen it in a previous life, he would have been prepared against it. This means that Fang Yuan deduced the method to break the killer move during battle. How can that be possible? Duke Long was perplexed. Heavenly Court made such an arrangement, they naturally guarded against Fang Yuan, they knew about his wisdom path attainment. With Fang Yuan's foundation, he would need a lot of time to unravel this transportation formation. Speaking of which, this was quite a coincidence. When Fang Yuan explored the Dragon Whale Paradise, he had obtained the falling star rod tree from Shen Shang. The growth conditions of this immemorial desolate plant were still a mystery as it had been extraordinarily rare and low in quantity since ancient times. It had the unique trait of constantly attracting stars, falling into the trunk of the tree and turning into a single star mark. That was why it was called falling star. According to rumors, one of the motives that Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had when he traveled the world alone was to collect this tree. The value of the falling star rod tree did not just lie in itself. By planting it in the immortal aperture, the Gu Immortal could use it to create an entire system of orbiting stars. It was a unique ecology that brought incremental gains every year, and the total amount of gains over time, day after day, year after year, was almost impossible to estimate. Without this tree, even if Fang Yuan knew about the falling star rod tree, he could not transform into it. But after obtaining it, he observed and studied it, gaining the falling star rod tree transformation. Other than the rod tree transformation, Fang Yuan also had Dong Fang Changfan's myriad star fireflies, and Yi Lui Kun Xing's leading countless stars killer move. These were all loot he gained in the past. Leading countless stars was exceptional. It used the star fragments primarily and expended little immortal essence. Using the attractive force of star fragments, it could generate star-like magnetic force to continue manipulating stars. The more stars there were, the stronger this move would be. Back then during the Northern Plains battle, Yi Lui Kun Xing used this move and was virtually unstoppable. The killer move leading countless stars was targeted against stars and made use of them. On top of that foundation, Fang Yuan also had Star Path and Formation Path Grandmaster attainment level, as well as the Light of Wisdom. By modifying the killer move in battle, he was able to achieve amazing results. Duke Long was very shocked that he could destroy the transportation formation. In Duke Long's eyes, Fang Yuan started to become unfathomable. On myriad-year flying warship, Fang Yuan dispelled falling star rod tree transformation and returned to his human form. Immortal killer move, myriad self. Bam bam bam. A vast number of Fang Yuan's clones appeared again, filling the sky, they were like fireflies that spread out to the surroundings. Heavenly Court felt a little troubled. In this battle, they were suffering from a lack of manpower. Even though star constellations will awaken many Heavenly Court rank 8s earlier, because the transportation formation was destroyed, they were all stuck in Hairy Foot Mountain now. Troops far away cannot salvage the situation. Duke Long sighed. He had no choice but to use a method. Chi Path Immortal Killer Move, Chi Engulfing Mountains and Rivers. At that instant, an unparalleled force descended from the sky, pressing down on the entire place. The world became still, nothing was left unaffected. Fang Yuan's clones were all destroyed. Calamity Luck Altar was forced to the ground, resisting stubbornly with creaking sounds. The Heavenly Court Immortal Gu houses within the range of this killer move were even more badly affected. They were directly destroyed as the place turned into ruins. Fang Yuan and myriad Year flying warship were not spared either. They were enveloped by Chi engulfing mountains and rivers. The warship's speed fell as it rapidly descended from the sky while bearing the weight of mountains and rivers. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Instead of shock, he felt joy. Duke Long's Chi engulfing mountains and rivers was quite familiar to him. In the previous life, when fighting for Dragon Palace, he had used it to claim victory. But now, Duke Long had to use this move to destroy Fang Yuan's myriad self. He was truly in a passive spot. He had to give up Heavenly Court's own Immortal Gu houses. Immortal Killer Move, Immemorial Year Monkey Transformation. Fang Yuan transformed again. All of his Dao marks turned into 1,500,000 Time Path Dao marks. Myriad Year Flying Warship itself was a Time Path Immortal Gu house. It was activated by Fang Yuan with full force now. Its power rose drastically. It was re-energized and shot out like a flying sword, as if Chi engulfing mountains and rivers did not exist. Duke Long stared at Fang Yuan furiously. He could not catch up now. He watched as Fang Yuan charged towards the Immortal Graveyard. Fang Yuan did not intend to target Heaven Overseeing Tower. Firstly, Heaven Overseeing Tower was defended by a formation now. Time was needed to get in. Secondly, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's painting path method was still around. Fang Yuan was wary against it. The Immortal Graveyard was an important place of Heavenly Court. It was likely to have a venerable method, but Fang Yuan had to take the risk. The Immortal Graveyard was a huge variable. Destroying it now would greatly benefit Fang Yuan and the rest. Within Imperfection Regret Pavilion. Seeing that Fang Yuan approached the Immortal Graveyard, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette's expression changed as she grabbed a chess piece, preparing to toss it. But at this moment, Limitless Demon Venerable's silhouette smiled lightly as he placed a piece on the chessboard. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette stopped her action. If she tossed this chess piece, Limitless Demon Venerable would gain an absolute advantage. She would not be able to turn this game around anymore. Limitless, you really think highly of Fang Yuan. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette sighed. She placed the chess piece back onto the board. Next, her gaze turned sharp as blades. She said coldly, "But it is not so easy to stop me." Before she finished her words, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable made several moves at once, placing pieces on the chessboard continuously. Limitless Demon Venerable quickly followed after her, not giving her any advantage. Both sides exchanged moves. They placed over 100 pieces in a few breaths of time. The entire chessboard was filled with pieces, but the strange thing was, this chessboard seemed to have no size limit. No matter how many they placed, the chessboard could hold them. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's silhouette was restrained by Limitless Demon Venerable. Fang Yuan managed to reach the Immortal Graveyard by moving straight ahead without obstacles. Fang Yuan. If you do anything to it, I will make sure you die without a proper corpse. Duke Long was still chasing him from behind. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, using Strength Path Giant Hand. Slam! His giant hand was huge but extremely fast. It slammed down rapidly. But the process of the giant hand's movement became very slow. Space seemed the same, but it was actually tens of thousands of li long now. At the crucial moment, someone interfered, but it was not a venerable method. Who is it? Fang Yuan shouted. His eyes shined like lightning as he looked towards his left. In Fang Yuan's vision, a female immortal slowly revealed her appearance. She had a peculiar appearance. Her entire body was made of wood. she wore a green dress made from vines. Even though she had a human face, one could see the trunk rings on her tree bark skin. Her eyes were clear as a tranquil lake. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk. From her aura, this female immortal was close to Zang Sheng's level. Human immortal, stop. Don't try to destroy Heavenly Court, otherwise, Zang Sheng, will have to stop you. The female immortal spoke. Her voice was gentle but contained immense determination. Zang Sheng. Fang Yuan realized after a moment. Heavenly Court had 3 legendary immemorial beasts. They were Shabi 95, Ruan Dan, and Zang Sheng. Zang Sheng was a vast heaven vine. It was a unique existence in Heavenly Court. It did not need to follow orders, but only had to provide a batch of vast heaven fruits every 1,000 years. In the previous life, when Longevity Heaven attacked Heavenly Court, Zang Sheng watched the battle without doing anything. But to think that she would take action in this life when Fang Yuan invaded. It seems that Zang Sheng and Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had some sort of special agreement. Nobody else knows about it. Fang Yuan snorted coldly. He mobilized Myriad Year Flying Warship to charge towards the immortal graveyard. Zang Sheng sighed. She turned into a green light and blocked Myriad Year Flying Warship. With a loud sound, Myriad Year Flying Warship crashed into Zang Sheng's body. Its momentum was halted while Zang Sheng was sent flying away. She spat out a mouthful of green blood, but she continued to attack Myriad Year Flying Warship. Fang Yuan, your life is mine. At this moment, Duke Long arrived. He opened his mouth and bore his fangs, turning into blades that slashed at Fang Yuan. Instantly, Fang Yuan became trapped from the front and back. He was not flustered. He first pointed at Duke Long to use spring scissors, before pointing at Zang Sheng as the Myriad Year Flying Warship below him shot out countless flying swords. They were all daybreak flying swords. Spring scissors flew out and snipped the dragon fangs, before approaching Duke Long with an unstoppable force. Duke Long had to retreat. Daybreak flying swords shot out like a waterfall towards Zang Sheng. After enduring it for a few moments, Zang Sheng could not hold on anymore and retreated. Fang Yuan yelled. Myriad Year Flying Warship soared into the sky again, before rapidly descending towards the immortal graveyard. But distance was extended once again. An unobservable profundity was occurring around the surrounding space. Fang Yuan turned around and stared at Zang Sheng, saying a sentence fiercely, "You are courting death." Zang Sheng was covered in sweat. She had tried her best to use the space path killer move, but she could only stall Fang Yuan temporarily. Thankfully, Duke Long was around. He attacked Fang Yuan once more but was forced to retreat yet again. Fang Yuan's strength suppressed both Duke Long and Zang Sheng. The two sides fought for over 100 rounds. The more they fought, the stronger Fang Yuan's aura and the more injuries gathered on the bodies of Duke Long and Zang Sheng. Rumble. With a loud sound, Fang Yuan's Luo Pasil landed on Zang Sheng as she screamed. His giant hand slammed Duke Long to the ground. Duke Long, you are already old. With this aged body of yours, how long can you last? Fang Yuan smiled coldly. Until I die. Duke Long was filled with determination and battle intent. One of his dragon horns was broken, his dragon scales were cracked, he was covered in blood. But he would rather fight to the death. Within the refinement path formation, Northern Plains past generation experts surrounded Song Yan and Che Wei. Kill them both. They are already at their limit. How can merely 2 people stop us? Humph, they are overestimating themselves. Northern Plains immortals were ready to attack. Killing intent surged and filled the entire space. Che Wei and Song Yan were covered in blood. As long as they stood at the same spot for a few seconds, a pool of blood would gather below them. It seems that we are going to die here. Then we will die. Even if we die, we will use our lives to get as much time as we can for Yuan Qiongdu. The two looked at each other. They smiled with the determination to die. Come, this is our final battle. As the weaker side, they shouted even louder than the Northern Plains Immortals. The Northern Plains Immortals' expressions changed. These are 2 respectable opponents. I will use my strongest killer move to send you off, this is my respect towards you both. Boom boom boom. Intense battle erupted once again. Emperor City. Countless gazes were heatedly locked onto the final competition grounds. Most of the Gu masters had failed, they all left the stage. There were only two people left, one was Yi Fan, the other was Hong Yi. The final victor would be either one of these two. The competition is ending, our mission to defend is about to succeed. Persevere, everyone. Central Continent's troops cheered in advance. What do we do? Thousand Transformations' ancestor could not take them down, he started to feel anxious. Fang Dichang was silent but he snorted coldly in his heart, you are all too naive, so what if we are blocked? Ha ha ha, it has finally arrived. At this precise moment, the ground cracked open, the earth shook as a huge earth trench appeared, the terrifying crack expanded towards Emperor City. What is happening? An earth trench. Damn it, Emperor City is in the path of the earth trench. Quick, save the people. Central Continent's troops were flustered, they wanted to salvage the situation. But Fang Dichang was prepared from the start, he manipulated Divine Bean Palace and charged out to block the Central Continent troops. Central Continent's Gu immortals had no choice but to block Divine Bean Palace in a panic, they did not have the strength to save the mortals in Emperor City. We are doomed. Who can save us? No, we cannot give up hope. Emperor City was in complete chaos. River of Time. The river water moved in waves, Feng Gu stood in a time path immortal Gu house as he pondered with his eyes closed, he was quietly comprehending. Suddenly, his eyes opened, his expression was of utter shock. A stone lotus island slowly appeared in Feng Ji's vision. This is. At this instance, Feng Gu thought of the words Qin Ding Ling said before he left. I observed your luck for you, it shows that your fortuitous encounter is in the river of time. Go, your fortune is there, it will lead you to great accomplishments. You originally wanted to go to the river of time and increase your comprehension to complete Destiny Song, this is a wise decision, it cannot go wrong. Don't tell me, this is my fortuitous encounter. Feng Gu restrained the shock in his mind as he entered the Stone Lotus Island. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1939, Bloodkin Heart Revenge. 1939 Bloodkin Heart Revenge. Heavenly Court Battlefield. You finally woke up. Qin Ding Ling looked at Fairy Ziwei who was slowly opening her eyes, she let out a breath of air. Fairy Ziwei was a little dazed but she soon regained her senses, how is the battle situation now? The situation is not good. Qin Ding Ling said grimly, she spread her palms as a golden silhouette appeared. Within the silhouette, one could see the scene of Fang Yuan suppressing Duke Long and Zang Sheng. Immortal killer move, purple gold dragon-shaped chi. After using this killer move, be it offense, defense, healing, or movement, all of Duke Long's actions would have accompanying purple gold dragon-shaped chi. This was his main method in chi path, it was very comprehensive. In the previous life, 5 Elements Grandmaster died from this move by Duke Long. But even in this state, Duke Long was repelled by Fang Yuan continuously. Duke Long was still very strong, but Fang Yuan relied on myriad year flying warship, displaying unprecedented time path battle strength. Spring Scissors and Summer Fan had incredible power, even Duke Long and Zang Sheng could not block these attacks. Fairy Ziwei took a few glances and exclaimed, Fang Yuan's battle strength is so terrifying. He seems to have a transformation path method to turn all of his Dao marks into the same path. Not only did he advance to rank 8, his Dao marks are at an absurd number. How did he do it? Rather than thinking about this, you should think about how we can resolve this crisis now. Qin Ding Ling urged. Fairy Ziwei was silent for a while before analyzing as she pointed at the silhouette. Lord Duke Long's strength is not inferior to Fang Yuan, it is just that he is too passive now as a result of protecting the immortal graveyard. This gives Fang Yuan the initiative. Lord Duke Long has to endure every offensive killer move he uses to make sure the immortal graveyard is intact. Fang Yuan could casually dodge Duke Long's attacks, but Duke Long had to block Fang Yuan's attacks. This was too great of an advantage. If one analyzed this, they would see that Duke Long and Fang Yuan were quite similar in power level. But Fang Yuan's tactic was too wise. Duke Long would not be overly concerned if he attacked Heaven Overseeing Tower with high defense, but the immortal graveyard was different. The primordial Qi wall was destroyed by Fang Yuan. That was truly a huge move. It was crucial. It caused Duke Long to be taxed with defending against Fang Yuan's attacks now. Star constellations could have awakened more Gu immortals from the immortal graveyard, but Limitless Demon Venerable was stopping her at the moment. How could they resolve this issue? Fairy Ziwei started to think about this deeply, but she felt a strong headache. The intense pain made her body shake as she almost fainted again. Be careful, your injuries are still quite severe. Qin Dingling called out in concern. Fairy Ziwei nodded, frowning and enduring the headache. She spoke with difficulty. The immortal graveyard is the biggest foundation and accumulation of Heavenly Court. We cannot lose it. We need to get rid of the problem, which is Fang Yuan now. Go and reinforce Senior Duke Long. Get Guyu Fangzheng to fight as well. He has been cultivating in the Demon Judgment Board recently. He progressed quite a bit. If you enter the Demon Judgment Board and coordinate with him, there will be good results. What about you? Qin Dingling looked at Fairy Ziwei with worry. Fairy Ziwei spat out a mouthful of blood. I need to heal my injuries. Thankfully, there is a healing hall that can help me greatly. Don't worry, this immortal Gu house is at the periphery of the battlefield. It will not attract attention. Okay, be careful. Qin Dingling hesitated for a moment before gritting her teeth and flying away. Fairy Ziwei felt her vision turning dark. After taking several huge breaths for a while, she stabilized her injuries and decided to move towards the healing hall. Immortal killer move, Summer Fan. Whoosh! Intense winds blew, sweeping everything in their path, rampaging through heaven and earth. Duke Long grunted as he flew back by 300 steps. Countless purple gold scale fragments were scattered along the way. The storm also engulfed Zang Sheng. The female immortal cried out in pain as her vines snapped. She used her defensive killer moves with much difficulty to resist the attack. Her space path defensive killer move was quite amazing. Any move that landed on her would have to travel through a huge distance to reach her. But no matter how long the distance was, the time path tornado still went into the immortal graveyard. Even though it only suffered a minor loss, still far from total destruction, Heavenly Court's immortals still felt deeply pained when they saw that. Fang Yuan snorted coldly, looking at Zang Sheng coldly. He was not happy with the current situation. Zang Sheng, he did not expect her to participate. Fang Yuan knew nothing about her. Especially when she cultivated space path, Fang Yuan's attainment level in this path was too low. Without enough space path attainment level, even though Fang Yuan had wisdom path attainment level, he could not deduce anything useful. The bigger threat between them is Duke Long. Standing on myriad year flying warship, Fang Yuan looked at Duke Long again. Not long ago, when Fang Yuan used Summer Fan, Duke Long flew back by 500 steps, but now, it was only 300 steps. Summer Fan was an old killer move. Even though Fang Yuan modified it, it had already been used before. At this point, Duke Long was getting used to dealing with it. Of course, the bigger reason was that Duke Long was continuously getting stronger. Heavenly Dragon's last stand. Fang Yuan muttered. He could feel what the Northern Plains immortals felt in the previous life when they fought Duke Long. Duke Long was strong to begin with, and more terrifyingly, he was continuously getting stronger. Fang Yuan knew that even though he had the upper hand now, it was because of his wise tactic of targeting the enemy's weakness. Duke Long was forced to defend it. In terms of real battle, if he fought Duke Long and Zang Sheng, they would be evenly matched. Fang Yuan had myriad year flying warship, he coordinated well with it. This was the first time Duke Long was fighting with Zang Sheng, and even though Zang Sheng had deep foundation on par with Zang Sheng, she was unfamiliar with fighting techniques. It showed that under normal times she faced combat rarely. Thus, Fang Yuan could also sense that she was getting more proficient in her methods as the fight went on. After all, a battle of life and death was the greatest form of training. Time is pressing. If I cannot succeed soon, I will need to give up on this target. Fang Yuan took a look at Heaven Overseeing Tower. Once Genesis Lotus method was activated, he would attack that place. Before that, he should destroy the immortal graveyard first. After all, nobody knew which monster would emerge from it next. After all, including Duke Long, Heavenly Court should have a total of 4 Dao Guardians. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with bright light, countless thoughts moved in his mind at rapid speed, countless battle tactics were being created. At this point in time, he still had many trump card killer moves left. There was Time Cutting Edge, Unlimited Chi Si, 5-Finger Fist Heart Sword, Lead Soul into Dream, and other killer moves. If he faced other enemies, these methods would decide the battle and kill them. But Duke Long and Zang Sheng were not simple characters. Against them, if his move failed, they would be prepared against the attack. Fang Yuan would not be able to use them effectively anymore. Kill Duke Long and Zang Sheng. It was not impossible for Fang Yuan. But at the same time, Duke Long still had the killer move Triple Chi Retraction. It was very threatening. If Fang Yuan got hit by it, the consequences would be severe. Fang Yuan was similarly wary of it. Furthermore, other than Triple Chi Retraction, did Duke Long have other methods of similar strength? Fang Yuan was not sure. At the same time, Zang Sheng was quite an unknown factor. She had lived much longer than Duke Long and also had a complex relationship with Genesis Lotus, who knew what methods she could bring out. It would not be surprising. Fang Yuan continued to attack. He aimed attacks at the immortal graveyard while looking for an opportunity. Duke Long and Zang Sheng were experienced monsters. Their battle experience was incredibly vast. Fang Yuan tried for a long time but he could not create any opportunities. Amidst the intense battle, a cloud of blood suddenly appeared. The cloud of blood approached Fang Yuan. It had a peculiar aura. Fang Yuan stepped softly as myriad year flying warship shook. A group of daybreak flying swords flew out and attacked the cloud. The blood cloud was pierced by Fang Yuan. It was easily torn to shreds and vanished, but Fang Yuan's expression changed. At the next moment, Cooking Luck Pot appeared above him. Blood markings appeared and stuck themselves onto Cooking Luck Pot, attempting to corrode Fang Yuan's luck. Blood Path Killer Move. Fang Yuan's heart shook. His attack slowed down as he split his attention to mobilize Cooking Luck Pot. But no matter how he tried to cook his luck, he could not get rid of the blood markings. To get rid of them, Fang Yuan would need to concentrate fully. It would expend a lot of his time. Fang Yuan cast his gaze far away as an immortal Gu house approached him. This was a red tombstone with countless words moving on it. It was the rank 8 immortal Gu house, Demon Judgment Board. Fang Zheng, is that you? Although lacking a clear reason, Fang Yuan guessed the identity of the person inside the Demon Judgment Board. Within Demon Judgment Board, there was Guyu Fang Zheng and also Qin Ding Ling. Fang Yuan was hit. Fang Zheng was surprised and joyful. Thank you for amplifying the power of my killer move. At this moment, behind Fang Zheng, Qin Ding Ling was placing both palms on his back as she helped him with her full strength. Seeing that this move had effect, Qin Ding Ling was surprised too. She looked at Guyu Fang Zheng in a new light. Fang Zheng only had rank 7 cultivation level, but like what Fairy Z Wei predicted, the killer moves he created were very effective on Fang Yuan. Worthy of Fang Yuan's nemesis, the pawn left behind specially by Heaven's will. Qin Ding Ling sighed to herself. Heavens will attempt to destroy Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's plan, using Fang Yuan as the pawn. But Fang Yuan as an otherworldly demon was the greatest variable himself, thus Heavens will arrange for Fang Zheng as well, to become the counter to Fang Yuan. Thus, after Fang Zheng became the Demon Judgment Board Lord, he used the experience of the previous generations of Board Lords to create his own killer move, Bloodkin Heart Revenge. This blood path mimicked Luck Path. it also contained the profundity of human path. Qin Ding Ling's amplification was only icing on the cake. Bloodkin Heart Revenge activated again. The blood cloud approached while Fang Yuan dodged it. But the blood cloud followed him closely, it did not stop chasing after him. I've already used Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu, this body has no bloodline relationship with him, why is the blood cloud still approaching me? At once, Fang Yuan's gaze flickered with uncertainty. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1940, Limitless, please turn around. 1940 Limitless, please turn around. Fang Yuan's current main body was made from Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu. Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu was a consumable Gu worm, it could turn any life form into a pure-bred human. Because the body was not created by normal birth, it had the trait of being half an otherworldly demon. The Sovereign Immortal body had no blood relationship with Guyu Fangzheng, he was only related to Fang Yuan's rank 6-time path clone. But his clone was currently hidden in the Sovereign Immortal aperture, isolated from the world. Could Fang Zheng's method pierce through that boundary and sense the clone in his immortal aperture? Most likely, this move does not use our bloodline relationship but the mental connection with the user. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk, he felt that this deduction was more logical. He had very little understanding of Fang Zheng's killer move as he had just seen it. Fang Yuan tried for a while and could not get away from the blood cloud. If he destroyed the cloud, blood markings would appear and attack his luck. If others used this killer move, there would not be this effect. But Fang Zheng was closely connected to Fang Yuan, not just in terms of bloodline. He was an arrangement of heaven's will, both of their lucks were connected in some way. For example, after Fang Yuan obtained cooking luck pot, Fang Zheng's luck turned into a pot lid, it showed that he was a counter to Fang Yuan. The connection of Bloodkin Heart Revenge was much more complex than Fang Yuan thought. The first aspect was bloodline connection, the second was the mental connection, and the third was their luck's connection. Using the resonance of their luck, the blood markings were able to corrode Fang Yuan's luck. This was a huge problem for Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan changed his target now, trying to destroy Demon Judgment Board and kill Fang Xing directly. But whenever he made this choice, Duke Long and Zhang Sheng would interfere, they would thwart his plan each time at the perfect timing. Even if Fang Yuan's attacks landed, it would only cause Demon Judgment Board to shake and crack. Afterwards, the Gu immortals inside would repair it fully. Demon Judgment Board was different from most of Heavenly Court's immortal Gu houses, it was comprehensive in defense, movement, recovery, and others, it had no clear weaknesses. If I had the all-living beings' luck inheritance, no, as long as I had heart-blood immortal Gu, even if I cannot unravel this move, it will alleviate my situation. Fang Yuan had a sensation back then, it was a pity that he could not obtain heart-blood immortal Gu during the Qi Si banquet, that was truly a huge pity, to think that it would take effect here. In the previous life, Fang Yuan lost the 5 regional limit formation, it was a huge pity. In this life, it was heart-blood immortal Gu. Even though Fang Yuan had spring-autumn cicada and had the advantage of rebirth, when he changed things, the influence would spread out, his enemies and the entire world would generate new changes that would target him once again. It was like someone shouting at a valley, no matter how he adjusted his voice or tone, the echo would also come back to find him. At the Qi Si banquet, Fang Yuan already felt something. But it was a pity that all sorts of undercurrents and circumstances forced Fang Yuan to let go of this opportunity. From this aspect, one could see spring-autumn cicada's weakness. The rebirth provided by spring-autumn cicada was merely a second chance. Afterwards, especially later into the future, the situation would still depend on the user's own actions. If one kept relying on the advantage of rebirth, they might gain a lot during the initial stage, but they would be like overconfident swimmers in the sea, eventually drowning themselves. Thus, even after being reborn for countless times, Red Lotus Demon Venerable only managed to damage Fate Gu. This way, with Duke Long and Zhang Sheng as the main force, with Fang Zheng and Qin Ding Ling as the supplementary force using Demon Judgment Board, they attacked Fang Yuan together, finally resisting this demon's great might. Fang Yuan is trapped. Within Calamity Luck Altar, Bull Demon spoke. He had kept a lot of attention on Fang Yuan. Of course, he was not the only one, all of the other Gu immortals did too. After all, Fang Yuan's victory or defeat would influence this entire battle. Flower Lady hesitated. Should we help him? The two look at Bing Sai Chuan. They knew that he was still concealing a trump card. They could ask Limitless to turn around. In the previous life, Bing Sai Chuan used this trump card to temporarily trap Duke Long. Furthermore, in this situation, as long as Duke Long was trapped, Fang Yuan would not have any restraints. He could break the stalemate. But Bing Sai Chuan shook his head. His gaze was heated. Let them fight. This is our best chance. Let us take Fate Gu and return to Longevity Heaven. We will refine Rank 9 Destiny Gu. His original goal was this: with Rank 9 Destiny Gu, Longevity Heaven would replace Heavenly Court's position. They would rule the 5 regions. Earlier, Bing Sai Chuan was trapped in a predicament. He had to give up on this thought and ask Fang Yuan for help. Now that Fang Yuan has taken action and changed the situation, Bing Sai Chuan's situation turned for the better. Be grateful to Fang Yuan and help him. Bing Sai Chuan laughed coldly in his heart. Their grand ambitions were about to be fulfilled. After years of waiting and expectation, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's goal of domination was close. How could he give up? As long as there was hope, he had to try. He could not give up. At this moment, even though the refinement path formation was not destroyed, a path was already opened. Go. For Longevity Heaven, for Northern Plains, for Lord Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, go and retrieve fate. Bing Sai Chuan screamed in a loud voice. The phantom images in the river of time stirred. The historical experts of Northern Plains roared and echoed Bing Sai Chuan's words. Mao Li Chiu had entered battle long ago, using the killer move Perfect Pair to fight Shabi 95 and Wan Dan. Bull Demon and Flower Lady also flew out of Calamity Luck Altar, engaging in their attack. Many Northern Plains Gu immortals were with them. They had a much larger force than in the previous life. No. Yuan Xiongdu's eyes were red. He shouted for reinforcements, but nobody came to help. Yuan Xiongdu was inside the refinement path formation. He could not leave. At this moment, he was in grave danger himself. Rank 9 fate was about to be repaired, but if it was snatched away, their efforts would have been in vain. Seeing this situation, Duke Long became anxious. He called out, Fang Yuan, to think that they are also making use of you. Fang Yuan casted his gaze at Heaven Overseeing Tower. With just this action, Bing Sai Chuan held his breath. If Fang Yuan turned around now and attacked Longevity Heaven, what would they do? Bing Sai Chuan had made this decision after shouldering huge pressure. The truth was, Fang Yuan had been paying attention to Heaven Overseeing Tower's situation. When he saw that Northern Plains Gu immortals were going to Heaven Overseeing Tower, he became happy. Somebody was finally going to step on the landmine for him. Duke Long, you should be more concerned with yourself. I will kill you first before dealing with Longevity Heaven. Fang Yuan shouted. Duke Long was silent. His attacks went beyond his original limit yet again, becoming even stronger. Fate Gu. Bull Demon and Flower Lady shouted. They charged up to the top of Heaven Overseeing Tower, seeing Fate Gu. But at the next moment, Genesis Lotus method activated. Ah! What is this? Painting Path, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's method. Like what Fang Yuan had expected, these Northern Plains Gu immortals were all stuck inside the bamboo forest painting now. This change was so unexpected that all the other immortals were stunned. Within Calamity Luck Altar, Bing Sai Chuan was dumbstruck. Yuan Xiongdu, Song Yan, and Che Wei gained some time to recover. They quickly rested. Bing Sai Chuan gritted his teeth. Phantoms moved in the river of time, but no Gu immortals appeared. Mao Li Chiu was the closest to it, but it was fighting against two legendary immemorial beasts. It could not leave. In this situation, only Bing Sai Chuan could go himself. At this moment, Qi Ci Lang woke up slowly. What are you hesitating for? Use Calamity Luck Altar to crash into Heaven Overseeing Tower. Qi Ci Lang said. When he was unconsciously, he still collected information about the outside world. Once he woke up, he received the information. Fate Gu was inside Heaven Overseeing Tower, it was the core component. Fate Gu could only be destroyed by otherworldly demons. If Heaven Overseeing Tower was destroyed, the other core Immortal Gu might be destroyed but Fate Gu would be intact. But Heaven Overseeing Tower was a genuine rank 9 Immortal Gu house, it had great defense. If Heaven Overseeing Tower attacked it, they would lose precious time. This was why Bing Sai Chuan sent Gu Immortals to invade Heaven Overseeing Tower. Bing Sai Chuan could not decide. He looked at the phantom river of time again. Some time had passed but no Gu Immortals came out. There were still many experts in Northern Plains history, like those forming 7 Extreme Desolation, they did not show up despite Bing Sai Chuan's expectations. Bing Sai Chuan's expression was uncertain, even though he did not know the previous life situation, he sensed something amiss. He was a time path great expert after all. Being appointed by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable as the West Desolation Immortal, having slumbered for 300,000 years due to Giant Sun's request, he was the crucial leader that was designated to achieve longevity Heaven's grand ambitions. This call of the ancient killer move is quite fishy, I cannot rely on it solely. Red Lotus Demon Venerable was once a righteous path member after all, nobody knows what his true objectives are. Thinking of this, Bing Sai Chuan said to Qi Ci Lang, 7th Prince, please take action. Qi Ci Lang spat out, are you a luck path cultivator? I am. I am more suited than you to control Calamity Luck Altar. How much of this Immortal Gu House's power can you use? The urgent matter at hand is to. Bing Sai Chuan, fuck your ancestor. Qi Ci Lang had just said his words when suddenly, Bing Sai Chuan teleported him out, he could not help but curse. Calamity Luck Altar's control was in Bing Sai Chuan's hands. Qi Ci Lang was able to control it earlier because Bing Sai Chuan gave him a portion of the authority. 7th Prince, please attack quickly. Bing Sai Chuan spoke politely but Calamity Luck Altar was ready to attack. Qi Ci Lang suspected that if he refused to act, Calamity Luck Altar would attack him first. Bing Sai Chuan, very good. Qi Ci Lang gritted his teeth in deep anger. Bing Sai Chuan was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's old general, his status and seniority gave him the assurance to deal with Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's own son like this. Just you wait. If not for father's ambitions. Qi Ci Lang was furious and helpless, he charged into Heaven Overseeing Tower. Yuan Xiongdu and the rest were helpless to stop him. Since when could enemies enter and leave Heaven Overseeing Tower at will? Yuan Xiongdu and the other two felt sadness in their hearts, they could only bank on Genesis Lotus arrangements activating again. Qi Ci Lang carefully stepped onto the top of Heaven Overseeing Tower, he was immediately attacked by a jade light. He received a shock, looking at Genesis Lotus painting on the walls, he tried his best to maintain his position but he could not resist it. Right as he was about to be dragged into the painting, Bing Sai Chuan shouted, Limitless, please turn around. In Imperfection Regret Pavilion, similar to the previous life, Limitless Demon Venerable did not turn around, he only tossed out one chess piece. The chess piece flew into Heaven Overseeing Tower and floated above Qi Ci Lang's head. Qi Ci Lang's body immediately regained freedom as the jade light got blocked by this small chess piece, only a faint amount of jade light remained around him. Qi Ci Lang was overjoyed, as long as he got rid of the jade light, he would be able to move freely and snatch Fate Gu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.